Yes, everyone, and welcome back to the Irish Hotspurs, or the Irish Hotspur with your boy, Dave, Jack, and special guests, Philip and Dermotron, as we head to Selhurst Park in what is our second London derby in 4 days. And we have a massive opportunity to go 5 points clear. And it is a battle of the birds with only room for one big bird in London. And right now, that is the Crow and Cockerel, top of the league. Let's go around the houses, see how all of our special guests are today. We'll start with co-host Jacko. How are you, my man?
Great intro, Dave. Absolute poetic, work there. You must have had what's his name, Rob Drury or whatever he is. Maybe take a look at it, take a peek at it. That was absolutely beautiful. I'm feeling a little feverish. I think that's because when you get a dose of Ange ball, you start to kind of get withdrawals quite quickly, and so now I'm kind of at pretty much every night, going through kind of a a bit of a withdrawal sort of kind of symptoms of no Ange ball with me any longer. The missus though has been very good to me. She had a chocolate croissant, ready, this morning, Dave. And, of course, met that with a nice cold and, or not cold, should I say, actually more hot and firm, kind of black coffee, kind of probably how Ange likes it, but he doesn't take any cream or sugar or any kind, just takes it straight, like he takes his football. Feeling pretty good this day, Dave. Going eagle hunting, right? Going eagle hunting today.
We definitely are. So you better get out that BB gun, Jack. I heard you were up on the New York skyline practicing last night. So Jack is on fire for today. We'll go down to the one and only Philip Brady. Philip, how are you keeping, my man?
Yeah, great. This is a bit unusual for Spurs to play on a Friday night as well. I don't think it's a long time since we've done this. So I'm looking forward to a weekend until at least 4:45 tomorrow night. We're 5 points clear at the top of the league. I'm not really worrying that we're going to be overtaken, because we can't be overtaken this weekend if we win tonight. So yeah, and we're going to win tonight as well. So it's going to be a good night.
You're not feeling nervous about it tonight, Philip? No, Palace
Dave, I haven't been nervous. I was nervous for the Liverpool match, but I wasn't. No nerves for Luton, no nerves for Fulham, and no nerves for Palace. So good sign.
No, that's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. And last but not least, Dermotron, how are you keeping, sir?
I am keeping fine, Dave. Look, it's not the Crow and Cockerel, it's the Cockerel clock. That's what's crowing in London tonight. And look, I fancy a bit of eagle pie myself, and with Jack on that. No, a bit of eagle pie, a bit of mashed potato, a bit of gravy over it, and just really show Roy Hodgson what it means to be the best team in London, which is us, Tottenham Hotspur.
All washed down with a pint of champ juice tonight. That's what I absolutely love.
A nice big pint of Guinness.
I love it. Well, look, let's check in and see how people in the chat are and who's joining us this afternoon. We have the one and only The Regular. He says, big up, everyone. Another London derby and hopefully another win. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, The Regular. Let me know in the comments, are you nervous or not today about today's game?
Should be nervous about his fantasy team, Dave. His fantasy team has dropped places, The Regular, I believe. That's what he should be nervous about. Remember, he's at the top of the table, and he slipped a little bit. He's got time to, try to climb back.
You heard it there, Regular. You got to up your game on the fantasy league, my man. Big up, Hennessy. He says, let's go. Big up, my man. And hopefully you are keeping well, sir. Let's have it, my man. We have Wembley at Tavakron Wembley 1. He says, afternoon, everyone. I'm just a bit worried that the short week will mean that we are slow out of the traps. Palace will start fast after that 4-0 loss. Now, this is something that I've sort of been worried about, with it being such a quick turnaround. And we'll go around the houses on this one, Wembley 1. We'll start with you, Jacko. Such a quick turnaround after beating Fulham 2-0 on Monday night. Like Wembley says, only 4 days. Do you think it will affect maybe our energy levels, which then will end up having a knock-on effect on the performance?
In a way, I could see that happening, but it feels like the boys really haven't played frequently enough that I think there's any sort of carryover from, maybe previous times where they've kind of been pushed a little too far. I would almost think that some of them kind of do want to maybe start playing a tad more frequently. And, maybe this sort of separation between the games isn't too much for them to deal with. And if there's rotations that are made, there are plenty of players that already want game time as it is, and have been waiting, kind of burn a lot of energy and burn a lot of kind of minutes anyway. So I'm not really that worried about maybe us playing a tad more frequently in this case. I'm maybe a bit more worried about what sort of Wembley 1 brings up about sort of Palace's last defeat, right? Considering that they did get kind of, embarrassed, against Newcastle, and, Roy Hodgson, he's already missing a lot of players, and he's kind of, going into this one, I wouldn't say with any sort of pressure, but they kind of do feel like they got to do a lot better, this time around. So they're not going to probably just turn over for us or kind of sleepwalk into this sort of game. So you could see them, right, at least making it difficult on us in at least the first 45 minutes. And if Spurs come out the gates a little slow, a little kind of, maybe too confident, with too much confidence, you could say, maybe we would, start to kind of succumb to what Palace maybe want. I think you're on mute, Dave.
Yeah, sorry, I put myself on mute because my neighbour decides 4:15 in the evening's a good time to start hoovering. But Philip, my man, down to you, brother. I mean, do you agree with Jack or do you disagree with Jack? Because look, I'm of the opinion it shouldn't really affect energy levels whatsoever, really, because that they've only played one game a week.
Yeah. Well, look at the timetable last season. We would have had a Champions League game on the Wednesday and probably a league game on the Saturday. That's only 3 days. We've had 4 days on this one, and those players should be buzzing. They should be hoping the match was played last night. They should be so eager to get out on the pitch and carry on what's been going on over the last few games. So no, I don't think it'll have effect. Now, I think we're going to have an issue in January when we play City on Sunday afternoon and West Ham on Tuesday night. That's close, but 4 days is plenty. I think. I don't think it should have any effect on the team at all.
Dermo, where are you at with it, my man?
Look, we shouldn't have a problem with it, but I am slightly nervous. Look, we've never played well when we've had 2 games close together. But this is Ange Ball. This is something different. And I think we've got a squad. We need to use it. If that means bringing players off after 60, 70 minutes, do so. But I think for the first 70 minutes, I think we'll beat Palace anyway. We're too strong for them. I think Palace will be smart after their defeat against Newcastle. And I think if we can keep them quiet for 10, 15 minutes, keep the energies up, and then for 70 minutes start changing things, I don't think it'll be a problem. But I'd be lying. Never said I wasn't slightly nervous.
Remember what we did to them last season? I think it was nil each at half time. That was a very average Spurs team. And we hit 4 past them in the second half. So, and they're missing a lot of players tonight. So it's not as if it's the strongest ever Palace team.
Yeah, but look, we should have beaten Palace when we lost to them a couple of years ago under Nuno. We rocked up their 3 wins in a win.
That's true.
And we should look, we've only had 1 defeat in the league at the last 16 against Palace. So we should be able to beat them. We should beat them with a bunch of blind people. We should.
Did I see another stat banding around though that we've only won 1 of our last 5 against Palace?
Yeah, but
no, I think we've had a very good record against Palace when you kind of go back. I feel like we've been pretty successful against them. I'm more kind of worried just about re-emphasizing what Wembley once said. The fact that it's a Friday night, Palace fans are going to, kind of be well-oiled, as you like to say, Dave, and they're going to be expecting a better performance after what was a terrible performance last time out. These sort of clubs kind of operate, I think, in that sort of kind of mentality where they don't even know if they're going into it expecting to win or anything, but they're expecting a much better effort and a much better performance, no matter who's out there, no matter who even takes the pitch, which means then, you're going to see a lot of guys blocking the gaps in the midfield, maybe, putting in some naughty tackles, maybe trying to start some sort of kind of, getting our heads a little with some sort of kind of kind of physicality and all those sort of things. That's what I could see in this game. And Spurs, like any team, like any good team, can sometimes, succumb to that sort of type of housery and that sort of type of tactics. That's what I see Hodgson putting in there, is just making sure that they put in a much harder performance than they did last time. They could still be beat, but I don't, it'd be strange to see them be beat, 4-0 again on a Friday night.
Palace is not an easy place to go. Let's not delude ourselves here. Palace is a hard place to go. Them fans, they make a really tough atmosphere. Yeah. And it'd be interesting to see how the players cope with the atmosphere. That's been one of our biggest complaints about going away from home and the players falling in a hot atmosphere. And I want to see how they react to that tonight. And I think they should beat them. But the atmosphere, I want to see Palace is no pushover. Let's not go there. They're not. They're a good team. They're a decent mid-table Premier League team, Palace.
What I will say in terms of the atmosphere, I mean, first of all, if someone just grabs that drum, I mean, there will be no atmosphere. But look, we went to the Emirates. I know some people call it the library, but it seems to come alive on North London Derby Day, the only day it seems to come alive. And we handled that atmosphere pretty well, I must say. And I think, that is testament to the team that they can handle these sort of atmospheres. In terms of should they be leggy or tired, I don't think so personally. I think they should be raring to go every single game. The confidence is running through them. I think it's a different story if you're finding results hard to come by. With that sort of mindset, I think you go in leggy. But right now, I think we should go in fresh. I think we should go in confident. I get Palace will want to put out a better performance after their humbling by Newcastle. But they've a lot of their best players missing, and I question how much, they're really going to offer going forward. But big up Wembley one, my man. Great super chat. Really appreciate the talking point, brother. Of course, anyone else wants to steer the conversation, you want to throw in your talking points, simply just click that super chat button, and get in your talking point and send it in. But also, likely, we understand that it is very tough out there at the minute. Inflation is through the roof. We're all feeling the pinch. So even if you just smash that like, share the stream out, smash the subscribe button, and get your comments in the chat, we will bring them up as well. But big up Wembley one, my man. Really appreciate that support, brother. Dave H 1960, big up, my man. He says, big up yourself, Dave, and all in the chat. Can't wait for the game tonight. Come on, you Spurs. Absolutely love that. We have James Murphy. I feel an absolute thrashing coming on tonight. Come on, you Spurs. Jamesy boy is confident at home. James, what gives you that confidence? Let me know, my man. We've got Adrian Straka, big up, my man. And he says Palace are without Eze, Olise, Tompkins, and Henderson. Absolutely huge, my man. Absolutely spot on, Adrian. Davey Hall says, big up the crew. Think Roy will just defend deep, try play on the break. In as we trust, I'd pick Johnson instead of Richie. Davey Hall, put in the comments and let me know why you're going to pick Johnson over Richie, my man. And then James Murphy's back. Crystal Palace, more like Glass Palace when we smash them into a billion pieces. Come on, you Spurs. Absolutely love that. We have effing hell. Be a worse team. We have Bradley Thompson. Oi, oi, the boys are back in town. Big up, Brad. Hopefully you're keeping well, my man. Jack Bloom, 2023. Hey, Spurs fans. Big up, Jackie boy. Scotty Hynam, my man. Hopefully you are keeping well. Big up to all Vamos. Come on, you Spurs. We also have Daniela Zito. Good afternoon, David, Jack, Philip, and Dermot. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Daniela Zito. Then we have Abby is here, says we will win tonight and go 5 points clear of Man City. Yes, we will. We also have Luke says game day. Boys, let's go. Come on, my man. We have Stevie D. All right, gents and chat. Stevie D, there will be more Richarlison talk this afternoon, my man. I'll play the alarm sound for you when it's about to come on. We have Johnny Eads says, come on, you Spurs. Big up, my man. James Yip Paratrooper says, ready to demolish the competition. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, James. The regular is saying he is nervous. He's nervous about every game. I get that, my man. We have Neil Shafton. Thanks to the foodie for his chocolate croissant review. Big cock going to pluck that other foul of London. Come on, you Spurs. Big up Neil Shafton. He's in a good mood today. Absolutely love that. Big up, my man. Big up Derek Hutchinson. Big up Dave, Jack, and Dermot. And Philip, 2-0 Spurs tonight. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Derek. Good to see you as always. We have Brandon Troller in the house. Would you start Johnson on the left over Richie? Good to rotate. Richie is a donkey. Brandon, I'm going to hold that one back, my man. I'll bring it up just in a little bit when we get to Brandon. But it's definitely a talking point, but it's too early to get straight into that one. Rajdeep Basu says, big up, everyone. And Dave, love your Spurs spirit. We are winning this 3-0. Come on, my man. I really do appreciate that. And like I said to everyone, I just live for game day. I absolutely live for it, my man. Moondog, member for 23 months. Wow. What incredible service. Salute to you, sir. And he says, good afternoon, lads. Big up, Moondog, and Charlie Moondog as well. Hopefully you both.
Happy Friday, Moondog. Happy weekend. Let's start off this weekend right for you and Charlie, my man. Let's grab the win. Let's stay top of the league, and let's see the rest of the league crumble, afterwards. Big up to you, Moondog.
Big up, Moondog. Great to see you, buddy. We also have special occasions. Welcome, guys, from Cyprus. Big up, my man. Hopefully you are keeping well. Internet guy says Richie can't dribble, shoot, pass, trap a ball, hold it up, make intelligent runs, or stay on side. He's absolutely slating them there. Peter M says, big up Dave, Jack, Philip, and Dermot, and everyone in the chat. Big yourself Peter. Up. Good to see you in the building. Keegan's, where's the bloke? Good afternoon, gentlemen and chat. Big up, great name. We also have Paddy Harnett. Big up, Paddy. Hello for you fantastic people. Destiny 50-50 tonight and still being assessed. So don't be surprised if you see Davey starting either or. It won't be an easy game tonight. Again, I mean, just on that, we will talk about. I mean, if Ben Davies starts, I'll worry about our left-hand side tonight defensively and going forward. It's got to be a Doji. We have to be playing a Doji, Paddy. Hopefully he can get himself over the line, my man. Big up, Paddy Higgins. Looking forward to a glorious weekend. I suppose you're bowing out now, Paddy, are you, my man? We also have Neil. Forget all past results, good or bad. Fair enough. Sarah says we need to give them a battering. We battered them with Eric Dyer team last season. That's a fair point. That is a fair point. Neil says we will play the same way tonight as last week. And for the rest of the time, we have Ange. This is just what we have to get used to. If we can't start converting our chances, it will be fine. I hope so. I really do hope so. Boston Spurs fans, it's so great to be able to jump on here. Missed you guys for the past few weeks. Big up to the panel, especially my fellow American Jack. Well, big up Boston. Big Irish contingent out there. What's that song? What is it? There's a song that I listen to anyway as Boston in it. It's Boston Irish.
Friday night, Boston Spurs fans. Spurs are the main event on the Friday night. I feel like it's not a bad place to be, Boston, to enjoy, a nice pint, a lot of good bars out there. You guys know how to enjoy yourselves. Big sports town as well. So I hope that, you get to enjoy a Spurs win today and then go about the rest of your weekend. Big up to you, Boston Spurs
Big up, Boston Spurs fan. Great to see you, my man. We'll take a few more comments and then we will crack on. Daniel Field says, yes, the Irish crew. What you saying? Big up, Daniel. We're good, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well, sir. Killian Goobins, great to see you. How have you been getting on, buddy? Put in the comments. Let me know how life is going for you, sir. Great to see you in the building. David Clark, Ange can win anywhere. He could win on the moon where there is no atmosphere. Absolutely love that. Amin Correa says Crystal Palace nil. Spurs 1. I'll take that. John G says, honestly, can't see Palace scoring tonight. Me either, my man. Neil Shafton says, too bad the Ruins choked against the Ducks last night. Adrian Chia, big up Adrian Chia. Hopefully you're keeping well. Jackie says, greetings from the Basuma Third Kit Society. Members equals 2.
I have not seen Lazy 8, joining you at the moment, Adrian Chia, unless maybe I missed his name from earlier. Looks like you're kind of alone at the moment, with the Basuma Third Kit Society. Of course, in general, it is a committee of 2, hopefully more, down the future. I remember Tyler, picked up one of those kits, if I'm not mistaken, as well. I'm not sure if it was a Basuma, but it definitely was the third kit. And I'd like to see more in that, Basuma Third Kit Society. And will he be featuring tonight in a third kit, Mr. Basuma, because he's coming up against Crystal Palace away from home? Will he be rocking that third kit along with you? Big up to you, Adrian. And go easy on the scripts, please, tonight.
Yeah, look, we'll that's another thing we're going to have a conversation as well about Basuma. I hear, a lot of arguments saying you play your best team, and then I do hear arguments saying, well, we need him for Chelsea. So, a lot of good discussion to have on that one. Adrian Chia, my man, but good to see you. Please make the script nice and easy tonight. I would like a nice humbling of Palace. That would be awesome. Hansi G says, let's just jump Palace simple. Johnson can start with speed. Fair enough. We have Spurs GCTV afternoon, guys. 3-0 win incoming. Let's stay positive. Come on, you Spurs. Liam, big up Spurs GCTV. Liam says 1-0 matters. Free kick. Very rough game, and we will just about nick it. #Euro. We'll also have a good conversation about Maddison and his contribution on away days. Sean D says we need to improve to beat Palace tonight. Think Ange will have them ready. Let's get it. Big up, Sean D. We will also be going into Andrew's pre-match sort of comments from the press conference. Some interesting stuff there. Paul Connors says, big up everyone who thinks we could get a rugby score tonight. I don't think so, Paul. It would be nice, but I don't think so. Root Toot says we won't get a rugby score with Richie in the front line, unfortunately. Jeez. Then we have Phil P. Woo! Happy Friday, happy game day. Dave and Cole, big up, Phil. Hopefully you're keeping well, sir. Phil. Moondog says, I can see us winning 3-1 or more. I mean, look, we'll throw this one to you, Philip. 3-1. Do you think is it going to be that easy?
I'd rather 3-0. I'd rather another clean sheet, but yeah, I'd take it. I mean, I think it's going to be tight enough. I predicted 2-1 or 2-1 or 2-0. It's not going to be a high scoring game, and but I think it's down to two things. One, how the Palace react after last week. How do their fans react? If we start well tonight, do the fans, get quiet? If you can quiet that Crystal Palace crowd, then you've done a really good job. Then you're going to finish off the team. We did it last year. We can do it again. I'd take 3-1. like the way I'm looking at back, and look at the Luton game, we could have been 4-0 up after 10 minutes. Game over. We needed to start taking our chances more than we have been. That's one of the things we haven't been doing really well is scoring the chances. We're making them, but not taking them. So hopefully that changes tonight.
You set Moondog off now. He's going to be coming back. You know, the reason why we're not taking our chances is Richarlison.
Oh, well, I know. I was leading into that. But anyway.
Big up, Moondog. Look, I'd love a 3-1. I'd take it all day long. It'd be a good evening for us. Jacko?
4-1 last time. 4-1 last time with the Hill Messi wonder class and the Harry Kane goal. I think there was a big kind of mistake from Mark Guehi, if I remember, that allowed Sonny, to score 2. It was just a good day all around, a good evening all around, and I could see a 3-1 being that sort of scoreline. Of course, we want to be perfectionists and we want to see a clean sheet for our lovely man Big Vic, but absolutely take it, Moondog.
Big up, Moondog. Really appreciate the support, brother. And what's Charlie going for today? Let me know. And any secret bets as well you got on there that I need to hop on, my man. Daniel Sandoval, great to see you, sir. We also have Ash. Says, can't wait for my weekly dose of Ange Ball. Let's smash Palace. Big up, Ash. Machiavelli says it's 2:30 a.m. here. Games at 6 a.m. Not long to go. Big up, Machiavelli. Pushing through strong, my man. Absolutely great to see. And then Jacob Anderson, member for 21 months. Feeling a goal from Decky today. 3-0 victory. Come on, you Spurs. Thanks for everything, guys. I mean, Jacko, what do you want to say to Jacob?
Thank you, Jacob. You've been supporting us for a long, long time. And as well, I believe you're an elite member too, Jacob. You've been with us for a considerable amount, one of the goats of the Harris Army. And also as well, I think you try to pop in whenever you can to watch the streams and everything like that. You're a good man, Jacob. And I'm feeling Decky tonight. I can see why there's a bit of pressure on him to start kind of pulling the trigger a bit more, right? We just need him to start shooting and kind of, add a bit more sort of actual physical end product to some of his brilliant, creativity. He's setting up so many moves for others. He just needs to kind of finish with an actual assist or an actual sort of goal of some kind. And I have full confidence he's going to do it. Let's see if he can do it against Crystal Palace tonight. I feel like he'd be coming up against a Tyreek Mitchell. It's an interesting battle. I think Tyreek Mitchell is a good left back. He's a good defender, but Kulusevski's different. He has that sort of strength. He has that sort of intelligence that is hard to come by, nowadays for players of his age and even most sort of wingers nowadays. He's just very atypical. He's very unique. So let's see if he can cause, Mr. Mitchell some problems tonight, Jacob, and grab those goals.
Yeah, big up, Jacob, my man. Again, another salute to you, my man. Really appreciate the longevity of the support. Absolute legend. Look, with Decky, I mean, I said this in the predicted lineup that I think when it comes to Decky, I think if he, that final ball is what's really letting him down. Sometimes he's crossing when he should be shooting. Sometimes he's shooting when he should be laying it off. And that sort of final decision making just isn't quite right now. And if it was, he would be taking a lot of plaudits. And I think once he gets that right, the plaudits would rightly come his way. But you know what? It's that sort of game for him tonight. Not only is he a battering ram, but he's also fucking good on the ball, my man. So, I definitely think there could be one there for him today for sure. Big up, Jacob, again, my man. Really, really do appreciate the support, brother. And good to see you in. Let me know how life is treating you, Jacob. Let me know in the comments, sir. Let me just have a couple more and then we will crack on. We have big up to Paro Miguel Escobardo. Great to see you, sir. Also, big up my owl lad. He says, hello, boys. I just love it when we beat the Eagles. Imagine we can go 5 points clear at the top. These are great days. And the great thing about it is it doesn't matter what man shit he do. It doesn't matter what the arseholes do. And it really doesn't matter what Liverpool do either, my man. Because we'll be 5 points clear, so they can't catch us this weekend. So it's absolutely fantastic. So, I think it'll leave us top for at least another 8-9 days. I mean, that would be absolutely fantastic. 7 to 8 days. That'd be brilliant. Big up that. And also make sure you ring me if you want me over there early in the morning as well. Then we have Moondog. Don't get me started on Richarlison.
We will at some stage, Moondog. We'll just have to, maybe like with Steve D and Højbjerg, maybe we'll just have to give you a warning, of some kind. Dave might have to come up with like a pigeon call or, something like that. And then he'll just warn you that, you're going to have to avoid, the Richie conversation. Big up to Moondog. And I think he's emphasized from the beginning, and he's still right to this day, from day one to day, whatever it's been with Richarlison. He said, just not worth 60 million. And I think that's, no matter how much I defend the big Rich, no matter how much I do appreciate his clumsiness and his donkeyness, I mean, he's never going to be worth 60 million. And I think we're learning that more and more.
Yeah. Well, there you are, Moondog. Let me know what you think of Jackal's assessment. By the way, you still haven't given me a bet to put on, Moondog. Adrian Chia says, trying to work a Van de Ven goal into the script. Come on, you Spurs. We'll throw this one to you, Tron. I mean, look, I am the great predictor of the Van der Tonghen goals. You know, I did predict it was coming against Luton, didn't I, Jack? Jack will vouch for that. But Dermo, do you think there could be one on the cards for him tonight, maybe from a set piece again?
Yeah, why not? I think there could be, actually. I really think there could be. I think both centre backs could score tonight. I've just got this feeling Romero and Van de Ven are going to get one each tonight. So yeah, why not? And I think he took his goal well against Luton, to be fair. He took it very well. And he nearly scored against Fulham too, if he took his chance. So yeah, so big up. Why not? Why not? Just want to say one stat here, Dave. The last Premier League defeat before Nuno was back in 2015 in January. Since our defeat against Nuno, we've only conceded 6 goals, and the last 3 games have all ended with clean sheets in the last 3 games against Palace.
Good omens.
So we've won 3-0, 4-0, and 1-0. So we're rarely on a good, richer form against Palace. I can see Van de Ven getting one today. I really can. I might go and put a bet on now, actually.
I'd love it. Philip, if you're a betting man, do you think there's a scrappy goal from a set piece tonight?
I'll take a goal that goes off both posts, the crossbar, the referee's head, and the goalie's backside. I don't care how it goes in, as long as it goes in.
That's all that matters for sure. Big up Adrian Chia, my man.
Legend.
And then Kay says, if Madison was injured, could Kulu bust a 10? I think he could personally. I'll take this one. I think he could personally. I mean, I think he's a brilliant player. I look at him. I think he's got some sort of very similar traits to Harry Kane. And I think eventually you could see him play as that striker, if you want me to be brutally honest. That's where I more see him there, more so than a sort of a cam or a creative 10 for Madison. I actually think the right guy would be someone like Gil Nessie. I think he's got all the energy in the world. I think he's got all the skill in the world. You know, he can play passes. We've seen that last year at Selhurst Park where he set up Harry Kane. So, I mean, that's who I'd be more looking at maybe to come in there. I don't want to hear any more about Lascelles. So the guy has had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity under 4 or 5 different managers now, and he just does not be asked when he comes onto the pitch. He doesn't look like he wants to be here in the way he plays either. So for me, you got to look within. I would more so rather give Gil that opportunity than Kulu. I think Kulu for me would be more up front, my man. Big yourself up. Really appreciate the support, brother. And then I just want to quickly say big up to Carl, big up to Shawnee Maddox, big up to Tequila, big up to Shane O'Neill. He's not liking Agbonlahor. Big up Ray Hill. Great to see you. Big up Leighton Evelyn. 1-1, he says.
Big up
And then the Big D New. Great to see you, my man. Really appreciate all of you guys popping in. But look, we will crack on. We've got a load of talking points for tonight. We'll start with, of course, the game is away at Selhurst Park. Kickoff is at 8 p.m. Referee is Andy Madley. So if anyone has any stats on the referee, that would be awesome. In the VAR room, it's Stuart Atwell. And if you want to watch the game in the UK and Ireland, is on Sky Sports. In the USA, NBCSN. In Australia, Optus. And in Canada, it's on Fubo TV. And then, of course, injuries, still no Session, no Solomon, no Perisic or Whiteman for Tottenham. I don't think you'll see Bentancur on the bench tonight either, but he is back in training. Crystal Palace, of course, no Eze, no Elise, no Schlupp, no Ferguson. Also, the goalkeeper, Henderson, I think Tompkins has been ruled out today as well. So that is all the team.
Schlupp is back in, by the way. I saw it on Sky earlier.
Oh, he's back, is he?
Schlupp is fit, yeah.
Lovely. Well, I'm not too worried about him anyway. He's shit. He's a good runner, but he's shit. So there you are. That's all the team news that you guys need to know. And then we also have a super chat here from Roy Vixen. This is the day Richarlison puts in a hat-trick. Big up Irish Hotspur. Well, look, we'll go around the houses, Roy. We'll let the boys have their say on it. Everyone else in the comments also get your say in on it. You know what? We'll work our way back to Jack, because Jack will have a whole eulogy.
Yeah, you know, yeah, definitely go to the sensible people first, Dave, and then
we'll go to
finish
Philip
with me.
first. We'll go to the most sensible on the panel. We'll go to Philip.
Right, Richarlison. I actually thought he did quite well in the first half against Fulham. He was doing okay down the left-hand side, but he forgot to come out for the second half, I'm afraid. And for that very reason alone, I think Johnson will probably get the nod tonight. I know Richarlison, he needs confidence. Now, I thought his goal against Sheffield United might push that on a bit. And making the goal for Sonny against Liverpool, but it doesn't seem to have. I think he's trying too hard, and it's just not coming off for him, and it's sapping his energy. He seems to me to be a guy with a very fragile mentality, and things get to him, and I think that's got to him, the fact that he's not doing what he should be. So I think maybe a spell on the bench might, with put Ange to put his arm around his shoulder. Listen, this is nothing personal. We're just going to give Johnson a run, and then you'll be back in sort of some stage. But let's see a change tonight, because Johnson's pace down that left side could be frightening tonight.
Interesting. And look, Postecoglou did speak about fluidity and stuff like that. I wonder, could there be a change tonight? And we'll go into them comments a little bit deeper in a few minutes. But let me know, people, do you agree with Philip that maybe Richarlison does need a spell on the bench? Dermo, where are you at when it comes to Big Rich?
Look, if I was reading by my head, I'd probably agree with Philip, but I'm not going to. And here's the reason why. Richarlison needs to start tonight because he will come good. Look, I agree with everyone. 60 million is much to him, but he is a good player. He does it for Brazil. He's better on the wing than he is as a number 9. So you put him on that wing. Look, he's against Sheffield United, scored 1 assist, 1. He is a good player. He will come starting tonight. He will tear that Palace left side apart. Because Richarlison, when having in his head, I want to prove Ange wrong. I've got to prove all these doubters wrong. And with him and the Højbjerg in the team, Tottenham cannot go wrong tonight. Richie with 2, Højbjerg with 1. There you go.
You're still debating, Dermot, are you? You're still debating.
I'm calling for a recount. Amir doesn't know yet, but I've actually called him for a recount. And I reckon there was bribery going on, so I haven't lost that debate. It was a fake debate. I haven't lost it.
Whatever sugar you sprinkled your cornflakes with this morning, I'll definitely have some of that, Dermot. I'll just send it down my way. Jack, where are you at with it?
You know what we have in Wexford. It came across the
You'd be a millionaire if you're down on that beach when it happened, for sure. Jacko, my man. I mean, where are you at when it comes to Big Rich? Because you look at the numbers, right? 2 goals, 3 assists, more goal involvements than any other winger in the team. But you look at that forward line, it just still doesn't really quite fit in naturally.
I mean, listen, I understand all of the frustration towards Richarlison. I think there's absolutely so much evidence to support it that I can't ever deny it. No matter how delusional I get, with certain, people that I support and whatnot in the team, I can totally accept the overwhelming evidence that the guy has not in any way done enough on a consistent basis to really warrant probably even a ton of starts or a ton of faith or anything. But I just feel like this sort of frustration towards him, it's now doesn't really feel like the time. I feel like he's actually played, slightly better, in the last few games. And I get that I probably have my own ridiculously low bar that, I, sort of set, personally for Richie. But I think out of all the times to get mad at Richie, I don't think this has been, the right time. I think the past few weeks, he's actually been playing better. I think he's shown that he and Sonny and Kulusevski as sort of a trio are probably the hardest working, front 3 when it comes to trying to win the ball back, put pressure on the back line, making that, goalkeeper uncomfortable. You see how Sonny presses from, the striker position. He seems to really be enjoying it. And then Richie is getting stuck in on a consistent basis, I feel like, also out on that left wing with Kulusevski. And then he's been, I think, more sort of kind of unconventional on the left in kind of a good way. He makes these first time passes that maybe kind of catch players off guard. Sometimes his touches are so clumsy that they almost kind of catch defenders off guard, that he's able to get that type of space and that type of, opening that maybe other players might not, that are a bit more technical, a bit more controlled. He's just been more, I think, adventurous, more kind of, what would you say, positive at least on the ball. And I get that it doesn't look nearly as pretty as when Sonny does it, Maddison does it, Kulusevski does it, pretty much any other player in the team. You know, he doesn't look nearly as good on the ball as they do. But when you really look at the chances that I think he's set up for others in the past few games, I think he's actually been a lot better, you know, than what we're used to with Richarlison. So if you're ever going to bench him, I wouldn't say now is the time. I think you kind of keep him in the team while he's in and it's again a low bar, might be his best spell of form or his best run of form in a Spurs shirt, I think, in probably his whole time here. And it's a low bar, but now I don't think the energy needs to be on Richie right now. I think this is, you know, maybe the worst time.
The thing is, I think it'll always be on Richie because he doesn't look natural, or until he starts scoring goals. I think that will always be there towards Richie. But everyone that's calling for Brennan Johnson, I understand it, but I wouldn't be so quick to clamour to him. He done nothing when he came on the other day, and nor did he want to. He just came on and sort of had a piss poor attitude. He lost the ball so many times. And, you know, if I'm a player that's coming back from injury and I'm supposedly fighting for my minutes, I'm going out there to make an impact, you know. And people give Brendan Johnson a free pass. He missed a couple of sitters in the North London derby as well. So, you know, I just want fairness of conversation. If you're going to accuse that at Richie, also, you know, let's be honest about Brendan Johnson. He hasn't done anything to warrant to start, in my opinion. I'm just being brutally honest. I'm not having a go at Brendan Johnson. I'm only saying this because I want to see more from him. I want to see everyone at Tottenham want to take their minutes. And I just felt when he came off the bench, he just sort of fell into the trap of what was going on the football pitch, not really making a difference. And that really sort of disappointed and let me down. However, I said this in the pre-match show for the members. I think it's getting to the point where push Richie back up front and see what he does. I know Son is banging them in, but he also bangs them in from the left-hand side. We know this. Bar that one season, he's done it every other season he's been here. And I would like to see Son pushed out there back again and see if we can get him back to his best out there. And then I think Richie will bag you the goals up front now that he's maybe sort of playing his way into a bit of confidence. But look, until someone nails down that left-hand spot, there's always going to be talk about Richie. There's always going to be talk about Brennan Johnson. So let's wait and see what happens on that. But look, one of them needs to nail it down, that's for sure. And Richie does let himself down. Like Philip said, great first half last week. Second half sort of fell off a little bit. But look, we'll see what happens tonight. Let's see what happens. I'm edging my bet that Richarlison starts again tonight. If I know Ange Postecoglou from Celtic as well as I think I do, I think he picks players based on merit, and I think he might just start Richarlison. But let's wait and see. But big up, Roy. Great talking point, my man. Absolute great talking point, brother. And then we have Kay as well, and he says, ref average of 13.19 fouls per game, 1 red in 14 games. So what you're saying is he's a full-time whistleblower is what you're saying, Kay. He loves it. It'd be like the guy out of White Chicks in the middle of the park.
Yeah, what you kind of would rather have is just a referee that just lets things, you know, go a bit more, because at least it offers maybe a more entertaining game. Yes, he might miss, you know, some calls, and you start to, you know, have a bit of an Udoji situation like it was last time where, you know, Anthony Taylor just seemed to absolutely hate Destiny Udoji. Anything that he did, you know, he wouldn't give a foul for, and anytime that he, you know, laid a hand on somebody else, he immediately was blowing the whistle. But I did appreciate that with Anthony Taylor. He sort of let a lot of things go at times, you know, even if he's getting it wrong, even if he's blind as a bat, you know, at least he's, you know, letting things go and letting the game sort of play. And, you know, there's even that cliche phrase, just let the boys play. And I think that's, you know, hopefully, you know, just in some regard, you know, taken into account tonight. Friday night, well-oiled fans, Dave, they just want to see, you know, the game with less stoppages.
I would too, but, you know, it's the type of game where I think for Palace will look to maybe make some sort of cynical fouls if we do catch them on the break. And, yeah, that's my problem, you know, okay, he's going to blow everything and not dish out cards. I mean, it's going to be a huge issue for me tonight. I can already feel it. I'm going to have to get off We Are Tottenham TV early and, you know, have some Nurofen or something for the headache that's going to come. But big up, Kay, my man. Really appreciate the support. We'll take a few comments from the chat on Richie. We won't end this Richie conversation yet. There's a lot of sort of responses here. Paul Connor says Richie needs a spell away from the club permanently. Richie has never taken the step up from Everton to us. He has plenty opportunities this season, but has not taken them. Philip, we'll shoot back down to you. Do you agree with Paul O'Connor here? Has he taken them?
He's had plenty
2
of
goals, 3
chances.
assists, like, you know,
Yeah,
that
okay,
he's
yeah. I
what
mean,
he's
that's
in the
not
team to
bad.
do.
That's not bad. But you see, I think he's probably suffering from the fact he's a striker. Well, I don't know. Is he a striker? We thought he might pick up the mantle of Harry Kane. Not that anyone can really do that, but maybe we thought he'd be a bit more prolific than he has been. And I think he's my. I'll go back to what I said before. I think he tries too hard. He's aware of what the expectations are of him, and he hasn't delivered them yet. He keeps flattering to deceive. He does an odd thing. He scores a goal, he makes a goal, then goes back into his shell again. So what we want to see is consistency from him. Get goal tonight, goal on next week. You know, score regularly. He's not going to score 30 goals a season, but 15 to 20 shouldn't be beyond him. Although I don't think he's ever got that far. I don't think he's ever got that high. So you know,
Yeah.
That's what I do. Okay, maybe I'm a bit harsh saying he should be left out tonight. What you're saying is quite reasonably. May well be left in just to hope that he will continue on from what he did against Sheffield United and Liverpool. And plus, another thing that's needed tonight, like a big guy up front like that isn't going to be knocked off the ball as easy as Johnson.
Yeah.
So you might need a bit of physical power up there tonight, you know?
True. Being honest, I do find it hard to have this conversation. I'm going to pass another question over to Jack because, like I said on the podcast the other day, the definition of Spursy is having the best striker in the world, calling for him to be sold, and then we sell him, and then we can complain about Richarlison not scoring goals. I mean, yet we had the best one. So that's the new definition of Spursy.
We gambled on the rich.
That's not aimed at anyone in specific. That's aimed at everyone in general who said we need to sell Harry Kane. But Jack, over to you, my man. We'll go with what Brandon Troller says. Would you start Johnson on the left over Richie? Good to rotate. Richie is a donkey.
Sometimes, Dave, as a fan base, you just need to put 100 million on 32 black, and that was Richie, I guess, and it just didn't work out for us, you know. But sometimes you got to make those mistakes, make it interesting. Good to rotate Richie. Like I said, Brandon, I could totally understand, you know, a lot of the frustration with Richie. I just think he's on his best spell of form that he's ever been in, and I think if he had scored against Fulham, if he did take that chance, I think a lot of people would have a very different sort of kind of a, you know, analysis of his game and summary of his game. I think they would have said actually he had a pretty terrific game had he scored that chance because he already had an assist from Sonny's goal, and it wasn't an easy assist. I think it came off the back of his, you know, sort of hard work and the continued pressing, and he played a first-time pass outside the foot that was hard to control into Sonny's feet. Sonny, of course, like he does, shows Richie actually how to finish, and you know, was actually, you know, more clinical than he's ever been. But if Richie, I think, took, you know, one of those chances, he didn't have too many, but if he took one of those chances, which I think the second one in the second half was a lot easier, I think we would be talking about his performance a little bit differently. That's just me personally, though, and I think he would probably retain his place, and there wouldn't be much of a conversation about it. With Johnson, I can see where Dave is coming from. I just feel like he hasn't exactly really caught the eye or anything with kind of the minutes that he's had. Like even in the North London Derby, I think he was fortunate to find himself, you know, kind of with those chances because they were more created by other players like Kulusevski, like Sonny, like Madison. And it was kind of just expected of him just to tap it in. And he didn't, like on each of those occasions, right? He actually made kind of a bit of a meal of it. And then also when it came to the genuine pressing, you know, the actual hard work off of the ball, we weren't seeing it. He was actually not really, he looked a little intimidated, didn't look like he could really put his foot in to get stuck in, and also was just intimidated by the genuine North London Derby. And he was given a chance. That's a harsh game, I think, to give him a chance for, right? A North London Derby away from home. It's probably the worst possible game you could try to bet a guy into, but he did get 90, or he did get a lot of minutes in that game, and he just didn't exactly take it. So I could see the argument for either player on the left. I would love to see Hill Messi given a chance at some stage tonight. But like I said before, I just don't think Richie, this has been his worst spell for him. I actually think this has been his best.
Yeah. Look, and also Johnson, you know, when he scored that goal, he played on he sort of that came down the right-hand side, you know, so maybe that's where he needs to be playing. But Dermo, Richie or Johnson for you tonight, lad?
I would start Richie. I agree with Jack. He's in his best form, if you can call it his best form. Look, we all know Richie's had his problems with his mental health or whatever, and he's brilliant for Brazil. He really is prolific for Brazil. If we could take that Brazilian form into the Tottenham form, we wouldn't be having any question about Richarlison. I think Philip is right. He's not going to bang you in 30 goals, but he is capable of 15 or 20 goals a season. Look, we did sell Harry Kane and sort of put all our hopes on Richarlison. Well, if we're going to do that, well, let's give him a chance. Let's get behind him. Let's support him, because the more that we're criticising him, the more it's going to get to him. And if he's feeling already a bit low and he's not feeling wanted, it's going to make him feel worse. So let's get behind him. I agree with you, Dave. I think put him in the centre and put Sonny on the left, or even try Gail Messi there if you want to rest Sonny and see what happens. Because I think Richie will come good. We just got to give him time. I know it's a stupid thing to say. He's cost 60 million. He should be banging them in. But, you know, players are late bloomers. And maybe he's one of these late bloomers.
I don't think you can get this much time to return. I think he does need to just get into the best of form as quickly as possible. And I think he's trying his best job of that in the last few weeks. But I don't think, personally, just to cut you off, I don't think you can say, you know, he needs more time or something like that. That's where people are kind of, you know, emphasizing, is that he doesn't need more time. He's had enough time and he hasn't exactly shown it or taken it. I just think if you're going to, you know, drop a guy, I wouldn't drop a guy who's, you know, genuinely, if there was no context at all about the player, I think he's played slightly better the past few weeks, so you just wouldn't drop him.
I think he has. And look, I think we do need to give him a chance, because Richarlison is a good player. He's there, he's dependable. He's if you want him to get stuck in, he will get stuck in. And I think Johnson isn't ready yet. I think Johnson needs bulking up a bit. And I agree with Dave, he needs to go down the right side.
Well, there we are. Everyone in the chat, just simply put in Richarlison or Johnson. Who do you want to see down that left-hand side tonight? We'll take a few more comments from the chat and we will keep cracking on. Joe says, Richie, how long do you want to wait till he comes good next year? Look, I said he's got until the summer. If it doesn't work out by then, we got to be cutthroat. You know, have to be cutthroat at the top. Hansi G says, Richie needs to keep his feet, not just fall over when shooting at goal. Keep your feet. We also have Gio Reyes says Richie has been improving with every game that he starts. Got to keep him in to add a threat to the front. Then we also have Rooty Toot. Why is Richie cuts so much slack? He hardly ever controls the ball and does something useful with it, and mostly just falls over. Personally, the reason why I sort of cut him slack to maybe towards other players in the past is because with the likes of Dyer, and I'm throwing Davies in, I'm throwing Winks in, I'm throwing Hugo Lloris and other players like that under the bus now, because they've blamed everything going on at Tottenham. They've blamed the management. They've blamed the assistant manager. They've blamed the coaching staff. They've blamed the training methods. Under Jose, they weren't trained hard enough. They were trained too hard. They've blamed everything else in and around Tottenham, but look at themselves in the mirror and the shit that they're putting out there in terms of performances. With Richarlison, he's come out and he said, look, my problems are from what's going off the field, you know, and I'm going to put money into it and I'm going to invest in myself to get the right person to help me. And that's why I'm willing to cut him a bit more slack than other players who come out and blame everybody else in and around Tottenham. You know, I'm pretty sure one of them was short of coming out and going, do you know that Irish Hotspur guy? He's the reason I didn't perform today. He calls me moon boots. You know, it was just short of that, honestly. And that's why I cut someone like Richie maybe a little bit more slack. Rooty Toot. However, if he ain't cut it by the end of the season or towards the end of the season, I'll sit here and I'll say, look, cut him off. He's got to go. No problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
Stevie Fraser says, did Richie have a good first touch at Everton? Honest question.
I think he was more, I think a lot of people forget that. I think his best attribute always has been him in the air. I think that's what Everton relied on him for, was the fact that you could kind of get it launched to Richarlison and he wasn't actually the worst, you know, to hold it up, you know, win the header, cause, you know, the defender a bit of, you know, issues and, you know, be a nuisance. And he wasn't bad in that regard. Like, and for an Everton team in the context of where they were at the time, he was kind of useful in that regard, but probably never did have that touch that we maybe associated with Gabriel Jesus or kind of other players.
100%. 100%. There you are. Leighton Evelyn says, if my auntie had balls, it would be my uncle. Richie's supposed to be a striker, not a winger. He is neither. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I'll take a couple more comments on Richie and we'll move on. We've got Adrian Chia. He says, context, Nketiah, 2 goals, 0 assists versus Richie, 1 goal, 3 assists. Anyone want to come in on that? I think he's maybe having a dig at Arsenal here and Nketiah. Philip?
Who's Nketiah? Bit part player for Arsenal. I wouldn't even bother comparing him.
Darmo?
Yeah, I just know who's Arsenal in general. I thought they were called Lego Team FC. I think is that the team you're talking about?
I think that's them.
Richie is a world class player compared to any of them lot down the road. Let's be fair. They're only just imitations of what footballers should be. They've got a Lego manager, a Lego team, and they've got a library as a stadium. I mean, what more do you want for a South London side? Just go back to South London, you lot. You're not welcome in North London.
Good context there, Rich. Yeah, what were you going to say, Dave? Sorry.
I have sort of said, the reason why Arsenal won't win a Premier League title is they don't have that striker. They don't have, like, Nketiah and Gabriel Jesus ain't going to make up the goals between them because they're not prolific enough to be able to win a league title. Am I being a bit hypocritical towards Richarlison there, maybe? But then again, he has been playing out on the left and he has got the assists.
I think both have failed. I think Arsenal have failed and we have failed in, signing an actual number 9, of any sort of, kind of productivity and any sort of consistency. All three of them aren't prolific, injured too much, or just don't make an impact on a consistent enough of a basis. I would say that, especially with Nketiah. With Jesus, he seems like a good player. He's just injured all of the time. And with Richarlison, he was injured also a lot of last season. He was injured for a heavy amount of the season. And when he even has come on, he's not really impressed, clearly, convincingly, a lot of, fans. So it's, you could say that actually Arsenal and Spurs have failed in that regard. So at least, we took them down with us.
Fair enough. Big up Adrian Chia, my man. Really appreciate the support. Look, Nketiah up front. I hope Arteta keeps faith in him for as long as possible, my man. Michael, Rhoda Boat Ashore says, I'd love Richie to score. It needs to be clinical.
It's easier said than done, Michael. That being clinical, it's sort of one of those things. I think you just either have it in you or you don't. I think he's more clinical at times than others, but he's not clinical on a consistent enough of a basis. You look at like what Sonny did, for example, with that chance that he had, he missed one, prior to that. And then immediately afterwards, he absolutely buries it, on the next chance. And you can't say that with Richarlison. Like Richarlison, he'll miss a chance, then he'll miss another chance, and then he'll miss another chance right afterwards, where you just don't say that about Kane, Son, prolific strikers, right? They don't miss chances, one after another in the way that he has. So it's easier said than done. If he were a clinical player, I think, we would be talking about him a lot differently. But again, that's big ifs for sure.
Look, I did say something over the summer. I remember saying, putting the ball in the back of the net is the hardest thing to do in football. And, many ex-players will tell you that it's the hardest thing to do, and to do it on a consistent basis and have that ice cold nature to be able to compute 4 or 5 different things in milliseconds, holding off a defender, where you're going to hit the ball, looking at where the keeper is, positioning, etc., focusing on your strike as well. There's so much you got to do. It does take an elite sort of mentality, an elite person to do it. And look, we're getting away with it with Son for now. Hopefully he can continue to do it, my man. But look, when it comes to Richie, I'll be honest, I don't think he'll ever be that sort of clinical. When you look at everything, I think he averaged 1 goal every 4 games. And I think Tottenham took a gamble thinking they'd be able to work with him and get that down to 1 and 2. Hasn't really sort of come about there. But look, if he gets a chance tonight, I'm not going to sit here and hope he misses it. I want him to put it away. So hopefully he does, my man. Big up, Michael. Moondog says, not great for Brazil. 3 years, 20 goals. Look, correct me if I'm wrong.
I got to put context to this. So I think his Brazil goal rate is actually not bad. I think he's scored like almost 1 in every 2 games, or a little bit slightly worse than that, but like pretty close to almost 1 goal every 2 games. I think he's had something around like 40 starts, if I recall, like something around 40 starts. So if he's had 40 starts and 20 goals, it's not the worst. He's not, Ronaldo or any other, brilliant Brazilian strikers, but it's not terrible either. It's better than what he's done for Spurs. So I would say, Moondog, there's tons of other Richie stats that would absolutely, just embarrass the guy and make him look, like a pretty terrible player. But I think, for the most part, his Brazilian efforts have not been that shabby, to be honest.
Look, I'll be honest, I don't buy this whole he's Brazil's number 9. I mean, it's the worst Brazilian team I've ever seen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's the best they got, I guess, in that position. right
I
now.
grew up watching Brazil stocked in numerous, in every position, and I'll be honest, I don't buy the argument about him being for Brazil. And to be honest, he has been switched up of late with Gabriel Jesus, in that team. And
Also
both of them
true.
are actually getting booed off at the minute. So, I mean, I don't take that whole, Brazil argument whatsoever. You're absolutely spot on, Moondog.
Can I just
Big
add
up,
one thing
brother.
about Richie, Dave? Sorry. I've always had this thing that Richie was a big fish in a small pool at Everton. And he's a small fish in the big fish at Tottenham. At Everton, it suited him better. The smaller club, they were struggling. It suited him. I think his whole thing was better for me. And I always found once he stepped up, I think that's why he's struggling, because he's a small fish in a bigger pond, because we're a bigger club at Tottenham. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. You're absolutely, look. That very well could be the case. That very well could be the case. But look, regardless, of all the stuff about him, he can only help himself by continuing to assist goals and score a couple of goals, and then maybe it's up to him to change the narrative around him. No one else can do it for him. It's up to him at the end of the day with his performances. So look, we'll see what happens in that regard. Now look, moving on to my next talking point. Big up everyone, though. I really enjoyed that conversation. Big up the panel and the chat. Philip, we'll start with you on this one again, my man. Although Tottenham returned to the top of the Premier League table on Monday night by beating Fulham, Postecoglou slammed the second half performance. Why do you think he chose that moment to call the players out where he's not done it before?
It probably hasn't had reason to do it before. Like, it was pretty obvious to all of us after a good first half yesterday. The second half was not good enough. I mean, Dermot, you and me were screaming at the TV. It just wasn't up to scratch in that second half for whatever reason it was. And he was quite right to do what he's done, because a lot of managers would have gone back into the direction. So great, lads, 2-0 win. That's marvelous. On to the next one. He said to them, what he said to them means, don't ever do that again in the next match. And that is the right way to manage, is and to say it live on TV as well. I don't think I've heard too many managers ever come out and complaining about 2-0 win the way they played. Doesn't often happen. So honesty is his best policy, obviously. And I think he's let the players know that he will not accept nothing less than 100% in both halves of the game, not just for 45 minutes. So he was dead right to do it. And I mean, I was actually quite relieved when the final whistle went in that game on Monday, because if Fulham had got one goal back, God knows what would have happened.
Yeah.
So
look,
he was dead right to do it.
I think he was too. Personally, I think he was trying to. I think when he looked at that second half performance, maybe the players are maybe getting ahead of themselves, maybe starting to believe the hype. And I think he'd done it to serve a purpose, to be like, look, you ain't achieved nothing yet. We've got
You're
Palace
not there yet, lads. Yeah.
And to put a rocket up their arse heading into that game, I think it was a very, very clever management. Dermot, what's your thoughts on it?
Can I just say one more thing before Dermot's in there? It reminds me very much of and I only read this the other day there, the Shakhtar Donetsk friendly that I went to see, right? Spurs got very sloppy at the end of the first half and gave away a goal. The Shakhtar equalised. Apparently, and absolutely cut them to bits at half time in the dressing room. What they do in the second half? Come out and score 4 goals.
Yeah.
So, it's not the first time he's done it.
No, it's not. It's not. I definitely think it serves a purpose. Let's welcome in Hotspur if he's joining us. Early for him. Paul, how are you keeping, my man?
Hiya, Paul.
Yeah.
Is it 2 o'clock in the morning with you or something, is it? No?
It's 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. I thought you'd be starting at 3, but you've been going an hour, man. You're on it early. You're on it. You're getting people pumped early today. Great stuff, man.
Yeah, getting them absolutely pumped, Paul. Absolutely pumped. We'll go to Dermo, Paul, and then we'll come back to you. I mean, Dermo, what do you make of Ange Postecoglou's decision to bollock the players after a 2-0 win?
We've seen him do it at Celtic as well. He'd done it up there as well. And all great managers do this. All top managers will do this, even if they've won. Ferguson was a great one for doing it at United. United will win 2-0, and he'll still roll at the players for not doing something wrong in the second half or for conceding a goal. It's the right way, keeps the players on their toes, and I have full support for Ange doing that. And Philip is right. We were screaming at the TV. That second half performance was nowhere good enough. Nowhere good enough at all. And we saw, look, the three of us, even probably Jack, we've seen him at Celtic. He'd done the same thing up there. When Celtic even won 2-0, he would say to the players, that wasn't good enough. and it's the right way to be, and that's the sign of a great manager. That's one of the things, one of the armory they have. They have a knack of turning a positive into even more positive. Do you know, that's not good enough. If you do that, and what he said was, I think in the Shakhtar game, that was the previous Tottenham. That was previous managers. I will not accept that. This is not them. We're not them. And it's about getting the mentality right. And he had every right to do it. And fair play to him. And to come out and say it live as well, that will give the players more motivation. Right, okay. I will not let this happen again. We're going to prove him wrong. And I think it's a great thing. It's a great mind game as well. It's a good mind trick to playing the players as well.
Yeah, look, I've always agreed with him, Andrew, you know, being honest in a press conference. I do think it serves a purpose. However, I'm going to throw a bit of a different question at Jack, and Paul can come in on this as well. I agree with it, but is it not a bit hypocritical that we're praising Ange Postecoglou for it? Because when other managers have done it previously, you know, they got absolutely slaughtered by fans saying, you can't do that. You can't come out and publicly criticize your players, this, that, and the other. But also, so answer that first, and I'll come back with another question.
Paul?
Yeah, I think it's the way you do it, though, isn't it? Like, it's fine to say, and also, he doesn't differentiate between the players and himself. It's always we. We
True.
didn't, you know, it's not they, the players, unacceptable. It's we. So I think, I mean, I was quite surprised he did it because, you know, I'm just a dumb fan. I watched the game. I thought we did all right. So, but it's nice to see that, you know, Ange is always striving to get better. And I think that if you're going to criticise a performance, that's the way you do it. You don't make it all personal and say, you know, this, you know, it'd be a miracle if we get in the top four, or the players haven't got a winning mentality. It was just, we were great off the ball, not so good on the ball. Easy.
Jacko, I mean, sort of same question to you, but is there a fear then he could end up losing the dressing room? Because in years gone by, that has happened.
I don't think there's really that much to actually read into it, because he got the win. And so instead of just patting everybody on the back, he's just gone for a different approach, which is, you know, kind of tactful and sort of, you know, nitpicking, or, you know, being a perfectionist, you could say, about the performance, saying, yes, you know, we got the 3 points, but if we want to take ourselves seriously, like, we can't do this, we can't do this. You know, Fulham, you know, rolled over for us. Certain teams won't roll over for us. They would have punished us in these situations and in this situation. And Dave, you and I were doing that this week, you know, with our podcast, you know, talking about, should we, you know, actually finish more of these chances? You know, should we be doing this? Should we be doing that? So it's the right mentality to take often. I think even after getting a win, you know, you can say, yeah, we got a win, but, you know, can we do better? And, you know, even when someone, you know, asks, you know, I think it's the missus says, you know, when someone, you know, denies like a drink, or, you know, denies like a bit of food, she goes like, and they're like, oh, I'm fine. And it's like, yeah, but could you be better? You know, could you want more, you know? And I think that's kind of this situation. And it's actually just tactful from Ange. I think it's, instead of just, you know, patting himself on the back saying, yeah, how great are we? You know, aren't we so lovely to watch? Like, he's, you know, instead gone for a different approach. So I don't even know if there's that much to read into that.
Yeah, like my
He's
old
just a
lad
smart
says,
guy, Dave. He's just a smart guy, and in these situations, that's what it is.
Look, like my old lad says, you know, I suppose he's top of the league. He can do what he wants, can't he, really? But look, you know, I'll be honest, I'm just glad we're at a point where a manager can come out and be honest in the press conference, that he doesn't feel like, you know, he has to protect the dressing room because it's that fragile, you know, that they're not even switched on enough to go, okay, well, you know, I need to look at myself in the mirror after being called out. You know, they just moan, bitch, and cry. Whereas I think that old sort of weak mentality is gone. Whereas now I think a manager can be honest, where he can come out and say what he did after that game. And I think rightly so. You know, it's always been a part of football. Like, you know, there's different ways of motivating. You shouldn't have to just be in there high-fiving them, telling their chest looks good, you know, slapping them on the bum on the way out of the dressing room. You don't have to do that. You can motivate people through criticism sometimes. And I'm glad that Ange Postecoglou sort of understands that, because for too many years at this football club, I've heard, oh, you can't criticize players, you can't call them out, you can't do this, you can't do that. And it's like, well, I mean, it's obviously last resort. He's tried in the training pitch, he's tried one-on-ones like we've seen in documentaries and stuff. Call him out in the press as last resort. It's that bad that it's got to that point, but you can do it. And I'm glad we're just at a point where we actually can do it. You know, that, to be honest with you, because it's a part of football. It always has been. So, yeah, anyone else want to come in and say anything on that?
On your point, Dave, of saying previous managers and we couldn't do that. We weren't top of the league, and the players there didn't have the same mentality as the players have now. And do you know, it was very much a case as a fan base. We blame the manager for everything because it's the easy point the finger at him. And Paul is right. Every time you hear Ange, it's we. It's we this, we that. And the fans love that. The fans now have a manager we can all get behind. And he's right to do what he did. But I think previously it was such a toxic culture at Tottenham. It was the blame culture. Everyone was blaming everyone. So the player would say, well, the manager would blame the players. What the players do, run to Daniel Levy. We want the manager out. And then there were stories leaked out. And then that gets into the press. And then the fans start saying, well, we don't want Mourinho. We don't want Conte. We don't want Nuno. With this, it's different. There's a different culture. And I think that's what it is. It was a toxic culture. And I think you're right to say it, Dave. But I think if you look at it from the outside in, I think the players have to take more responsibility, more respect for what they've done instead of us blaming managers all the time. Because it's not always the managers.
Yeah, no, 100%. Philip, you wanted to say something as well?
Yeah, I think, you know, Ange will get away with it. Well, not get away with it. He's in a position to say it because under the last manager, it was like a tinderbox waiting to go off. The slightest thing would have started an explosion, you know, under Conte. And I think Ange knows he's got the dressing room, he's got the players backing. He knows he can say this and won't have any repercussions in the dressing room. And whereas if Conte had said that, there would have been full-scale World War III about it. So, you know, he's speaking from a position of strength and he knows it. And I've got no problem with it at all.
Yeah. No, absolutely. You know me, I love shithousing questions sometimes. They're good, you know. You know, I love it.
You're a naughty boy, David. You're a naughty boy.
No, I'm not a naughty boy. It's just, you know, we can't be so quick to forget as well. You know, if it's not right for one manager, why is it right for another manager? I just like to keep, you know, standards around here, Paul. Consistency is the aim of the game, my man. You know, I've heard, I'm not even getting into it. You set me off, Paul. Moondog says, right, I have to put a bet on a Richie goal tonight. Well, do you know what? Go on, put a fiver on him to score one, my man. Put a fiver on him to score one. Yeah, do you know what? Moondog? I might do the same. Before I go on Weird Thought TV, I might fly down, throw a fiver on it as well, you know. Adrian Chia says, thoughts on Ange nightclub comment, joke or jibe? Who wants to take this one?
Both, I think. It was just a joke because he's a funny guy and he's a clever guy. And, you know, he's like always, you know, handles these questions, you know, quite funny. But then I think he might have been taking a little bit of a pop at the Daniel Levy. I can hear myself for a second there.
I think he's joking.
I think he was trying to take a jab though at Mr. Daniel Levy and maybe, you know, the gadgets and all the, you know, kind of, you know, feng shui of the stadium and all the music and, you know, stuff like that. So there was an audio thing.
Mind you, after every game, it's like a nightclub in the bars after the match with the celebrations going on. So maybe that's what he meant.
Just on that, and maybe it's because I'm an old fart. I would like at the end of games for there to be no music, so you can hear the fans sing a bit, even if it's you know 5 or 10 minutes until it dies down, and then you can pump it a little bit. But I mean, Ange also did say, but you know, whatever makes the fans happy, he's cool with it. So you know,
I mean, I can remember back in the day. I don't know, Paul and Philip can remember, they always played Glory, Glory, Tottenham Hotspur at the end of the game after a win or a draw. And then they'd be silent.
They still do.
Yeah. And there'd be silence for about 5 or 10 minutes afterwards. This is band now back and like in the night. And then suddenly they start pumping the music out. Look, I think, it's great to have the atmosphere that we have there. And I think it was more of a joke than a jibe. Because we see at the end of the game, the fans, the South stands jumping, the players are dancing, and it's a good atmosphere, but I think it was more of a joke. I think he had that sort of twinkle in his eye. Thought, I'm going to wind a few people up here.
Definitely a joke, Adrian Chia, my man. Beat yourself up. This is what Ange Postecoglou does. He's good in these press conferences. I actually enjoy watching them. Callum Roach says Irish panel's thoughts on Lange, pronounced Langer. I'll be honest. I'm not sure how comfortable I am with it. I was comfortable enough with waiting for Paratici to come back for his suspension and continue on things the way they were going, considering we finally got the club back, to where we want it to be, considering the recruitment, despite many naysayers, has been absolutely top notch. I would have rather continue on. But the guy's recruitment at Aston Villa was decent. It was good, to be fair to him. So if he can come in and he can work with Paratici, and Paratici still acts as an advisor, I'm okay with it, but I'm not too happy, to be honest with you. I just hope he doesn't build or rip down what we're starting to build, because it's working.
Yeah, I agree with that. I haven't heard the correct pronunciation yet. Maybe I've missed it, but I've sort of thought it would be kind of like a lot of sort of German or kind of Danish names, where it's just like Lange or Lang or something like that. But I could be wrong. All I
see is Ange with an L in front of it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you need, and you need some form of a Ange in there. And I don't know, I'm a mixed bag with him. I think he's shown that he's had a successful time with the youth club and with the youth academy at Aston Villa. They actually probably have one of the best youth academies alongside ours at this moment in time, thanks to some of the work that he did. And he brought in some really good players, brought in some not so great players. He's more kind of in the modern mold, which is also a good thing, right? He has kind of a lot of the analytics and data sort of kind of driven type of scouting. He has a lot of connections to, leagues that I think, would sort of benefit us, like in Denmark and those sort of leagues. Seems like a lot of good players are sort of coming out of that region right now. And so, yeah, for the most part, I'm behind it. I wasn't blown away, though, by the signing. Let's say.
Well, there you are, Callum Roach, my man. Big yourself up. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. He was saying, I was more getting at his name. Sounds like County Cork slang word. Oh, Langer. Yeah. I get it, Callum. I get it. You Langer, boy. You Langer. That's how they speak, real high pitched, a bit like the Scousers. They must have their balls in advice. But big up, Callum Roach. Really appreciate support, my man. And Welsh Gal says, big up, lads. Boré, DePaul, Big Ange, come on, you Spurs, Harris Army, and IPA. I presume that's saying that you, Paul.
Sorry, what was that? What? Sorry?
Boré, DePaul.
Oh, Borda. She's saying hello in Welsh.
Oh. Big up, Welsh. I didn't know you knew Welsh. I didn't know.
I only know that. I don't speak. I only know that because he's told me that before. So.
Yeah. Well, big up, Welsh Gal. Big up. Paul, your audio's gone crazy there. Do you want to log out and log back in? Big up, Welsh Gal, though. Good to see you. Jack, what sort of IPA should she have in the fridge for this evening?
I actually, and I'll concede something here, everybody. Anybody that's, feels very patriotic about American beer. I did have a Brewdog IPA, a West Coast Brewdog IPA, where they were trying to mimic, something from the West Coast of the United States. And I'll be honest, it was probably one of the best damn IPAs I've had in a long, long time. And the reason I got it is because it was cheap. It was actually cheaper than all the American ones that I was kind of picking from at the time. I got always on a budget, looking for the right price, the right deals. And I'll be honest, it was one of those, Dave, where it's not like maybe I could say the best, but it was one of those where you really go like, ooh, like, kind of sort of noises. And yeah, it was terrific. The Brewdog West Coast IPA was just solid. It was solid.
Well, there you are, Welsh Gal. There you are. Jack's put one on the, you got to source it. Now you got to get after it. Big up. Member for 20 months, though. Incredible service. A salute to you, too. Really, really do appreciate it. And we'll keep cracking on. I think Paul's coming back in the back end. But look, I've got a knock on the door, so I'm going to leave the question with me for 1 second. I'll be back. Of course.
It's audio not doing the greatest there, Paul. What do you need, Dave?
So just quickly, I've knocked on the door, but I'm going to leave you with a question. East Basuma is available for selection again after serving his one-match suspension against Fulham. However, he remains a yellow card away from another suspension. So, and that if he gets it tonight, that will be against Chelsea. So, should Pierre-Emile Højbjerg remain in the 11, or do you bring back Basuma?
Philip, go with you first, because I have certain feelings towards a Pierre. So what would you say? What do you go for?
In a game like a London derby like this, I think there's every chance Basuma could get another yellow card if he plays tonight. And I think, in all honesty, we need him more against Chelsea than we do against Crystal Palace. So based on that fact alone, I would keep the same Højbjerg playing tonight, but only because of the chance of a booking for Basuma, which might rule him out of technically possibly a much more difficult match.
And Dermatron, I know you were defending Højbjerg's honor, I believe, the other night. And would you like him to start again, or is it Basuma? I think you're on mute there, Dermo.
No, play Højbjerg tonight. Rest Basuma, because we need him for Chelsea. What's the point of playing them tonight and then missing Chelsea? So start Højbjerg tonight, and Højbjerg would do a good job. He did a good job against Fulham. Didn't do anything wrong, and he's capable of doing that job for us. So yeah, start Højbjerg and then rest Basuma to Monday week.
This is how I kind of feel about it, everyone, and kind of let me know in the chat too, please. But I feel like if we play Basuma, he already will be instructed, to be careful and to, in a way, sort of be shackled in some regard. Like, he can't just go flying into tackles when there is a moment, let's say, that some sort of counterattack maybe, springs up or anything like that. Normally the defensive midfielder, the number 6, has to make those sort of, decisions, whether to make that sort of unselfish type of tackle to, block the move, block, sort of the attack, and even often, right, take a card for it. And if he does that, he then misses the Chelsea game. And that usually happens to a lot of number 6s and a lot of defensive midfielders, that they usually have to take a card in a game. So I could see, that if Crystal Palace are going to sit deep, sit very low block, and if they're just going to look for those little moments to try to hit us on sort of the break, it is going to usually be a defensive midfielder or a midfielder of some kind that's going to try to track back and try to, stop the challenge. And if he misses the tackle, or if he just needs to take one, I think he then misses the Chelsea game, and then it doesn't really feel all that worth it, because Højbjerg, I think, would do a fine job anyways, against a team that's not going to really press him, that he's going to have plenty of time on the ball. And I think against Fulham, the fact that he had so much time on the ball, he really punished them for it, because when you give a guy like him enough, space, enough time, he has a decent enough passing range that he can hurt you. So in this game, I just think it's not really, one where we just have to risk Basuma. I think we can take advantage of the fact that Højbjerg is a good backup enough.
Would you put him on the bench? Basuma.
We can hear ourselves, I think, Paul.
Yeah.
Oh, not again. I'm so sorry, folks. I'll leave you to it. I'm having problems, but come on, you Spurs.
Come
Cheers,
on,
man.
We'll see you later. We'll see you later, though, Paul. We'll try again later. Okay. What were you about to say, Philip? Sorry.
I was going to say, do a 50-50. Put Basuma on the bench tonight, just in case he's needed.
Okay.
If he has to come on for an injury or whatever. I wouldn't like to see him completely out of the match, but I do think Chelsea is a more important match to have him. I see Murphy's Law. You can just see him getting the booking tonight, and this wouldn't be good. Wouldn't be good.
It doesn't seem like a controversial sort of decision either way. Like, I would be surprised if people were really up in arms about it. Basuma, didn't start, or if Højbjerg started. I just kind of agree with Shawnee Maddox here. I just think telling Basuma to be cautious will make him less effective. And you can't tell me that you wouldn't tell him that. You would absolutely need to remind him, of the situation there. And so he would have to be cautious. And why would you need a cautious Basuma when you can just give him another rest? Then he can go into that Chelsea game, full throttle, with no sort of limits of any kind really whatsoever. So that's how I just sort of feel about it. Let us know, though, everybody. And if you do want to stop or sort of guide the conversation, feel free to do it in a super chat. When you kind of go into this sort of game, though, Philip, Crystal Palace, they haven't conceded all that much, though, at home this season. I have, spoke about it with Dave. We do struggle against the low blocks. We just struggle against the very defensive sides. Could this be maybe the toughest low block team that we come up against, this season?
Yeah, possibly. Like who we had away. We played Brentford away, Bournemouth away, Burnley away, Arsenal away, and Luton away. So we had a lot of experience of playing away this season. We played more away games than home games. I'm trying to remember who put the block on us. Luton didn't do that much of a block. I think Burnley tried it. I think it didn't work. But I forget. I can't even remember the Bournemouth match. What happened there? But yeah, this will be the toughest one. I think Roy Hodgson's a wily old fox. He'll set his team up to frustrate us tonight, and then hope to hit us on the break. So I think we're going to see maybe 10 men behind the ball for them a lot of the time. I mean, it's up to us to break them down, and this is where Madison can come into it and pick his passes and get us to break them down. I think we get an early goal and force them to come out a bit more. It could turn into a reasonably comfortable match. But if it goes 60, 70 minutes without a goal, then it's going to be tight.
For me, Philip, yeah, sorry, what were you about to say? I cut you
no,
off.
Go on.
No, for me, Philip, it's just when I heard Roy Hodgson and when he, kind of grimaced with all the injuries that he kind of mentioned there. And then he also was, combining it with the context of the bad defeat with Newcastle. It did sound like he was sort of just saying, we're just going to put on whatever guy is willing to, run his heart out and run his lungs out and is going to block the gaps. Because they said, how do you beat Spurs? Because he had so much praise for us. And he said, well, they're not that different to a lot of teams like Man City, where they want to dominate the midfield. They want to have a lot of technically good players in there that make it really hard for you to get any sort of control of the game. But he said the way around that is blocking the gaps with hardworking players and making them, go wide and see if they can actually do anything in those sort of areas. And I think this season, when teams have done that successfully to us, for periods, we have struggled, actually. Even look at Liverpool when they had 9 men, on the pitch. They still made it difficult on us when they forced us out wide. I think it was Solomon, right, in that game on the left. Like, he couldn't do anything for some reason, out there. He just continued to struggle to really want to take it past his man, put in a cross, just do much of anything. He just kept giving it back inside. Kulusevski, a bit of the same thing. Pedro Porro, wasn't having the best of games either. And then finally, when he just whipped in a random cross, Joel Matip, hit it into his own net, thank God. And so it just feels like this Crystal Palace team, not saying they're going to be talented, not saying there's going to be a lot of ability in there, but Roy Hodgson's been around the block and is wise enough that he could, find a way to block up some of those gaps in the midfield. Madison gets frustrated, Sarr gets frustrated. The midfielders don't get to have as much influence on the game. And so then it's up to certain players out wide to do the business. And we've already complained tonight about Richarlison. We've already complained tonight, about others. So I think it could be, if there were to be a tough game against a low block, I could see this one being one of the toughest so far this season.
I do too, but I think this is where maybe, like Philip said, James Maddison, we haven't had that sort of player in that midfield in years gone by to be able to spray the ball, unlock the door and stuff like that. And although I do think they'll get tight to Maddison, I think you might see Maddison maybe get frustrated a little bit and drop deeper on the ball, but then he has to start becoming the conductor. It can't be safe passing because we know they're going to set up with a left block. So we have to look to put the ball in behind the fullbacks. At times, slide it down the side of the centre backs. What we cannot do is fall into the trap. What we done against Sheffield, or what we done against Brentford, and what we done against Sheffield United for large periods of that game, where we just recycled it from left to right in front of them. And it's easy for opposition teams. That's what they want. They don't have to come out of shape. All they got to do is move that shape from side to side. And, it's okay if we're doing it with a bit of purpose, with a bit of zip about us, but we're not. So they're just jogging across from side to side. We're not actually stretching them whatsoever by doing that. So this is where someone like Maddison comes to the fore. But James Maddison, he's scored or assisted in each of his first 5 away games for Spurs this season, contributing 2 goals and 5 assists. So if there is an away day player for Tottenham so far this season, it's been James Maddison. He could step up again tonight.
Yeah, he could. He's been very comfortable away from home. Good research, Dave. Very good research. Philip, you're saying something? Sorry? Oh, never mind. No, sorry. I thought Philip was about to say something there. But yeah, Dave, that's a very good point that actually Maddison has been terrific for us away from home. He's been more clinical, that you could say, away from home than he has been at home. And I could see him having a big game. I even, when we did the fantasy update, I said, I could see him having, a major impact if we were to score a goal in this game, whether it be an assist, a goal. You just see him being involved in some manner, because again, against these sort of low block, tight, organized type of teams, what you need is creativity. What you need is intelligence, and these guys that, can know what they're going to do before they receive the ball. They already have this picture in their head of what's about to happen when they receive it. And Maddison's one of those guys. And also the way that sometimes he just has that sort of just positive, way that he picks up the ball. He's not just going to shift it off to somebody else. He fires it sometimes into the striker to really get a move going forces players to play quickly. That's why I think even Ange likes him. Sometimes Maddison forces other players to play quicker and move the ball faster. So he is going to be a big player in this one for sure.
And Shawnee Maddox also makes a good point. You know, if Palace sit off us at your peril, we do have, you know, a goal threat from outside the box. Pedro Porro can shoot. You know, Maddison can shoot. Sonny, if you give him enough space, he can shoot. So, you know, we do have that goal threat from outside the box. You're absolutely spot on, Shawnee. But Dermot, I believe you might have to go, do you?
Yeah, I have to drop off, man. I'm sorry about this, but thanks for having me on. It's been absolute great as always. But yeah, I'll send you, put it in the private chat there, Dave. I'll speak to you later though.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Trump.
No worries at all, Dermot. John, I'll let Philip plug your channel on the way out. See you, Dermot.
See you later. I'm going for a 4-0 win tonight, by the way. That's my score prediction.
We reacted to it. We reacted to it. Big up, Dermot.
Big up,
See you later.
Big up, John.
Bye-bye.
See you later, my man. See you later. But look, guys, you know, that does maybe bring me on to the conversation about that front three, because look, it's something that I've highlighted since preseason that for me, it just didn't look right. You know, the wingers, it maybe ain't right. Jack, you speak about, you know, we want the wingers to beat their man and get to the edge of the box. But when I look at it, they're never going to do it when they're playing a right foot on the left side and a left foot on the right side. They're always going to look to cut on the foot they're most comfortable on. But Ange did say this week, though, that when he was asked about the main area of improvement for this Tottenham team right now, Ange replied with main growth will still come in the attacking third. A lot of our moves are not natural or how we want them to be. So I put the question out there to everyone on this, and we'll, you know, what is our best front three that would give us that potency, that would give us maybe that fluidity that Ange Postecoglou is craving? So everyone in the chat, please give me your answers on what you think is our best front three. But look, we'll start off with, first of all, I mean, we'll start with you on this one, Philip. I mean, do you agree with Ange Postecoglou? And then what do you think is our best front three?
Yeah, we certainly haven't seen fluidity that we've been looking for. You know, maybe we've been spoiled. We always had a front three of Kane, Son, and Kulusevski deliver the goods nearly on a regular basis, and it hasn't quite happened. So, but there again, the goals are coming from other parts of the pitch, which we didn't really have last season either. Best front three. Oh God. Well, Sonny has got to be in this anyway. I suppose until it's proven they're not going to work together, it would probably be Son, Kulusevski, and Richarlison. But I like the look of Manor Solomon. I think he could do a job for us if Kulusevski doesn't manage to do it. So yeah, I all my criticism of Richarlison, leaving it to one side at the minute. I think if he hits form and that, then we've got a good front three. Like Son is there, you can't do anything with Son. He's going to score goals whoever plays alongside him. So I think those three would get the bid for now. But if Richarlison does not improve or start scoring a few goals, I think Johnson's got to get a look in. With Solomon to come off the bench.
Same for you, Jack. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think Solomon's injured, so we are in kind of
and
Perisic is injured, so Perisic too, so we do leave ourselves in a pickle. I don't want to be too nitpicky, Dave, but I do feel like you don't necessarily need to be left-footed or right-footed to be, effective in putting in, good deliveries or good sort of kind of moments, kind of down the byline. Because you look at even a guy like Kavicha, right, for Napoli, right? He's a very right-footed player, but the way that he takes it down the left or the right, you have to sort of give him, kind of, he can do both, right? And he can still cut it back to someone, even Doku, right? For Man City, he's a right-footed player that they've been playing on the left a lot, and he just continues to take on his man and sort of make something happen. Jack Grealish, sort of a bit of the same, just relentlessly will take on his man and, kind of do a nice little cutback or some sort of, pull back to somebody. And that's what I think is more important, is just, having that relentless, type of energy to take on your fullback. Whether you are cutting inside more often than other is, fine, but you have to mix it up a little bit, and you just have to be eager to, try to take some space from them. What it felt like with Solomon on that day against Liverpool, and not, trying to beat on him or in any way, or, be harsh against him. I just think it was a good example of what not to do, and that he just kept sort of doing the same move, cutting inside, but he wasn't even getting all that much space off of the defender, right? Like that sort of cut inside wasn't in any way aggressive, or wasn't in any way to really try to get a bit of space to make him sag off a little bit, to make you kind of take a step back. It just was sort of letting the defender just stand his ground and not have to bite either way. And that's what you need to do. I think you need to make the defender bite. You need to make the defender shift his body weight in some sort of direction. And I think we've been seeing that slightly more from Richie, but in no way I think has it been good enough. And what you might need is just someone that has that relentless energy to take on their man time after time after time. And then eventually that sort of space will have to open up, because they will have to honor that you can take it down the left or the right, even if one foot is slightly better than the other. Even Kulusevski, we say that, like, his right foot's not great, but if he does take it down that right side, they'll have to honor it, and they'll have to, cut it back anyways. And, and given that, I think the best front three is at the moment what we have. I think it is Richarlison, Sonny, and Kulusevski for the time being, just because I think what Ange has been looking for is relentless pressing and relentless, defensive pressure from the front three, defending from the front, right, with a high press. And I think Kulu has been one of the hardest workers in the team. Sonny's been one of the hardest workers in the team, pressing from the striker position. And Richie's been one of the hardest workers in the team, pressing from the left. And they do need to improve on a technical level, especially Richie. But I do think they're giving at least that part what Ange wants, which is the bare minimum. Like, you have to be pressing relentlessly, from minute 1 to minute 90, or at least till he subs you off. And they have been doing that.
Yeah. Look, first of all, I think Postecoglou is absolutely bang on. I mean, we've got to remember, right? He's had to make do, and he's had to shift things around. It was never the plan to go up front this season with Son up front. No matter how much people try and tell you that was the plan, it was not the plan. Son didn't play up front preseason, and he didn't play up front the first few games of the season. It was Kane, and then when Kane left, it was Richarlison, but it wasn't working with Richarlison. And, for the last 10 minutes of the first couple of games, Postecoglou moved Son into the middle, and we looked a bit more fluid. That's why Son is currently down the middle right now. But what we still don't have right is the two components out wide, despite having a lot of wingers. I think the reason why Kulu doesn't often go on his right foot is because, I get it, Jack, there are players out there that can do it. But, I grew up in a day and age where a lot of footballers were two-footed, and you didn't get a contract.
That's what I mean. They can do both. Yeah, there are a lot of players still out there that can do both. Yeah. I've said there are a lot of players still out there that I think can do both. I think it's not an excuse. I think
I don't think we have them players at Tottenham. Kulu, I don't think trusts his right foot. That's why he doesn't want to do it. Richarlison equally doesn't trust his left foot. I think that's why he doesn't want to go down on the outside. Solomon, I would say he's probably the most two-footed out of both of them, but he doesn't seem to want to do it either. Look, for me, I think the wide ones is a tough position, because what Postecoglou at Celtic had was wingers that would get to the byline and pull the ball backwards. Our wingers are actually cutting inside and looking to play them sort of loop balls towards the back post, and it's just not quite working out. If Richarlison cuts in, the right winger ain't making a dart, and if Kulu cuts in, Richarlison ain't making a dart towards the back post for that ball. So we do have problems there. I'm trying to work out, do you move Kulu over to the left, and do you try someone else down the right? For instance, a Richarlison, his best game for me in a Tottenham jersey was Nottingham Forest last year, when he played on the right-hand side with his right foot. Brennan Johnson, I think, would benefit from playing on the right side as well. And I do think eventually we might have to look at switching up maybe the winger situation, because right now, they can't go on the outside and put the balls in the box, because Son doesn't give you that aerial threat. So, yeah. It's a hard one, and I'm not sure exactly how Postecoglou is going to find his way out of it. We'll wait and see. Gil Messi could be the answer down the left-hand side, although I'd prefer to see him through the middle, but he could be the answer down the left-hand side. It's a tough one, but I understand why Postecoglou is picking out that four there, despite creating a lot of chances, despite averaging sort of 2 a game. We're not clinical. We're very, very wasteful. And, at times the moves could be more fluid, So I understand
we've just wasted. Like, some of the fluid moves, then we've just not even finished. Like, it'll be set up like open goal, like just somebody tap it in after all that good work, and then no one does it. So I would even say some of the fluid, some of the most beautiful passages of play I've seen in a Spurs shirt in a long time have happened this season, and then we just miss the chance, and it gets frustrating. So I agree with Ange. I think he's absolutely spot on, but there has been definitely some sensational movement and some sensational passages of play.
Yeah, there has been. I was saying to you, Jack, after the Fulham game, it's just our best moves we didn't finish off, which was a shame because they would have been clipped up and played absolutely everywhere. Philip, have you anything else you want to say on the front on that front three question on what Ange had to say before we move on?
No, I don't think so. I think we might be nitpicking when you look at it. Really, that we're top of the league, could be 5 points ahead, and we're worried about our front three, but. Yeah, it will sort itself out. I think when we get Solomon back, we'll have a full deck to play with. And also, don't forget this young lad Belize, the Argentinian guy. I can see him having a role to play as well, especially against the teams with big defenses. He's a very tall lad. He's good in the air, great in the air apparently. So we might see more of him as well. So no, I'd be more concerned. Well, more concerned. I'd be more thinking ahead next maybe week or two when Bentancur comes back in. What's the selection? That's a real selection problem then for Ange. But what a problem to have. What a problem to have.
Well, look, Philip, these are good headaches to have. This is where we wanted to be rather than just knowing our first 11, knowing that the rest of them are absolutely cannon fodder. Absolutely spot on. But look, guys, we're going to go for about another 15 minutes. So, if you have enjoyed the show, feel free to grab one of them channel memberships, 3 different tiers with a video up there explaining what each one gives you. If you want to help support everything that we do here, you want to help support everything we do in and around Matchdown that we try to do during the weeks as well. Or any talking points that you think we've missed, feel free to send it in a super chat. We all know sometimes we do like our name put up in lights, and that's exactly what a super chat does. But also, if you could keep smashing that like button, that would be absolutely awesome. If you do want to grab one of them memberships, we're having a big push towards them. Ideally, the dream is that whenever we see a comment in the chat, it's everyone has a badge beside their name. And guys, you can do it for as little as $1.99 a month, which is absolutely dirt cheap. So why don't you get on that? And let's set a trend, actually. Let's see how strong the Tottenham army is, the Irish Hotspur army is, and be the first chat to have everyone that comments with a badge beside their name at $1.99 a month. That'd be absolutely awesome. But look, I've got 2 more sort of talking points or questions, and then we'll get everyone's score predictions, and we will finish off there before we get ready for the watch along. The next one I do want to talk about is the prophecy himself, the reincarnation of Jesus Christ, the 5th member of the Beatles, the 8th wonder of the world, and that is the one and only Gail Messi. Now, of course, last time he came and he played against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park, he absolutely lit it up. So, Jack, I'll throw this one to you. He wasn't used in our last match. Do you think he might get a few minutes this game?
I hope he does, because I'd be worried if he didn't, to be perfectly frank. I think there was an opportunity for him last game to be given some minutes, and he wasn't called off of the bench. I wouldn't say that he looked frustrated or anything, but if I were him, I might have been, a tad bit frustrated if I felt like, maybe I deserved the chance. But I don't know, like, I think I just have to say I'm a little worried for Gil Messi, because I think he does need to be used today, because if he doesn't get used today, I am a little worried about his future here at Spurs, because these are sort of his chances, right, to break into the team. There are a few injuries. There's some, there's, let's say, not a ton of consistency out on the wing right now. Clearly not everybody's satisfied with Richarlison. And we're also just speaking about what we actually need, in terms of style, down that left wing, what really the instructions are. And Gil Messi definitely can, fill in a lot of that. He also really likes to press, and, he's a willing runner off of the ball. So I could see him, being, suited for this system. And we've been saying that for the past few weeks, that he is suited for the system. We just haven't seen him used yet. So I do hope he's used tonight. I do hope the Selhurst Park faithful are reminded of his brilliance and reminded of what he can do on a pitch of grass. And yeah, Dave, huge chance for Bryan Gil Messi. I do hope that he's used, because I would be worried if he isn't.
Yeah. I think I'm lagging. Okay. Yeah. No, look, Jack, you know me. I would love him to get a few minutes today. I think, if any system is going to suit the prophecy of, Gil Messi, is the Ange Postecoglou system. And I hope he gets the opportunity, but I do think you'll have to be patient. I mean, Philip, where do you stand on Gil Messi? Do you see him getting any minutes really under Postecoglou? Could there potentially be another loan move on the horizon in January?
Possibly. If he doesn't get minutes before January, then possibly, because a guy like with his talent can't be sitting on the bench warming all the time. But I hope to see him tonight for a while. Certainly do, because he ripped Palace apart the last time. So and he'll know that, he'll remember that. So let's hope that, and Ange will know it as well. So let's hope he does get on, maybe as a sub for Richarlison or for Kulusevski tonight, And I hope he does, because there's not like, it's like watching George Harrison running down the wing there with the hair flowing behind him. It's just
he's like an 80s porn star.
He is, yeah, he is. Honestly, now he's got the tash and the little smidge to go with it, So yeah, he's like a throwback. But let's see him throw back to his lookalike George Best and do a bit of stuff that George Best did, Do
you know what? That'd be absolutely awesome if there was half of that player in there. That'd be absolute. That'd be some long-term vision. That'd be some long-term scouting. That'd be absolutely brilliant. Philip, do you need to go, or are you?
Yeah, unfortunately, Dave, I have to go. Unfortunately, it's just one of them things I have to do. But listen, can I just say something that's coming up on our channel on Tuesday, and we're regarding it as a bit of a. Sorry, I'll just one. I got to talk to. I'll come back to you in 1 second.
Yeah, no worries. Jack, what Philip's off doing that, my man? I mean, do you think it could be a case that maybe Ange Postecoglou maybe isn't impressed with maybe Brian Hill in training? Because I'll be honest, from what I see sort of coming out of training of the videos, he's been impressive.
Yeah, he looks good. Even I felt like he was, when we were watching the initial trainings over preseason, right, over the summer, felt like you kept hearing Brian, well done, Brian, the whole time. And I just, that injury came at maybe the worst possible time for him. It really felt like he was making an impression. It felt like he was looking good in the training. He picks up a bad injury, or at least felt like it was necessary, I guess, was really the term, to get a surgery on an injury that had been bothering him over the last year or so, or something like that. And he just felt like, he had to get it done. And I agree with maybe Gary there, that you hope it's, and I think Mungie as well, saying, I just hope that maybe it was just an injury that maybe Ange is just being cautious about. There are already other healthy players that he has to pick from. And it's just maybe a case of, he doesn't want to, put him in too soon after a pretty decent, surgery and injury. But I agree with you, Dave. There's nothing in training that suggests that he's been in any way, kind of lacking, compared to other players where we have actually heard slight murmurings of, in the case of Ndombele, for example, as one of them. So I don't know. I just hope that he is making the right impression, but it's hard to tell.
I think he is. I mean, if anyone watched that finishing video, I mean, yesterday, I mean, I needed 5 minutes on my own in the dark. It was absolutely awesome. But look, I wonder is it one of these long-term plans of Postecoglou? He sort of done it with Sessi. He said it about Session, that he's nowhere near return. We're going to work with him and make sure, he doesn't maybe get any reoccurrence. I wonder is it the same with Gil and Stefan Blois? It was last year, my man. It was last year. But Philip, my man, what do you want to plug, buddy?
Yeah, okay, we're doing the watch along tonight, and but on Tuesday next, we've got we're going to do a podcast with Norman Giller. Now, Norman Giller, I'm just going to show it here. That's his new book, The G-Men, the portrait of Jimmy Greaves. Now, Norman Giller was the chief soccer writer for the Daily Express for some years. He was on the This Is Your Life team for 15 years, and he's written 121 books, 20 of them with Jimmy Greaves. He knows Jimmy Greaves intimately, or did. He read the eulogy at Jimmy's funeral, and he's going to come onto our channel on Tuesday for about half an hour talking about his book. So we'll be advertising it extensively. We're very excited about it because I've been talking to Norman for years. I buy his books off him, and he's kindly agreed to come on and give us an insight into a few little secrets that maybe haven't been told about Jimmy Greaves before. So that'll be worth watching on Tuesday.
No, I definitely will. And I encourage everyone, get over there, smash that subscribe button. I'll definitely be watching it myself. I love hearing about the history and the olden days and some of the stories and stuff like that. So that's going to be absolutely awesome. So I appreciate you bringing that to us, Philip. I look forward to it.
Sure thing. And listen, a pleasure as always to be on your show, Dave and Jack. And let's hope we're still smiling at 10 o'clock tonight.
Oh, look, it's great to have the Godfather back. The pleasure is all ours. Philip, before we let you go, score prediction, buddy.
2-1 Spurs.
2-1.
Nice one,
I'd
Phil.
love to say
Thanks,
2-0,
sir.
but I'm going 2-1, you know.
Big up, Philip, my man.
There you go.
Really
Okay,
appreciate
lads.
you
Good night.
coming on. Speak
I will
again
see ya.
soon.
And
Thank you,
come on,
Philip.
Spurs.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Godfather after signing out. One or two little things maybe for myself and Jack still to talk about. And I'll start off with the next one. I just got to get it up here. Spurs have won the last 3 top flight meetings without conceding a goal. So we won the last 3 Premier League games basically without conceding. For me, I mean, it's the back line is what's had the main impact this season, because the reason why I say that is I don't think you'll get I don't think you would get this style of play if we didn't improve that back line. We wouldn't be able to play out from the back. And also, they're keeping clean sheets. That means we can get over the line in tight games. And it's something that maybe me and you spoke about a hell of a lot last season, Jack, when everyone was saying, oh, we're not scoring enough. It's like, I mean, we're scoring 3 or 4 nearly every game. We can't score much more than that. The real problem is how cheaply we give it away at the back, how cheap we give up goals, and how many we're looking to score each game. 3 clean sheets. I mean, this is paradise for me, Jack. We're going in here looking for, a 4th on the trot, but our 5th overall this season.
I mean, in my opinion, just quickly from last season, I don't think you could look at 60 plus goals conceded and then point the finger at the attack. Like, I think that's pretty bold, to do. I think that's kind of like, all right, let's look at ourselves first, before we start pointing the finger, elsewhere. Clearly, there's a problem back there, and it's obviously not even just coaching. It clearly has a lot to do with personnel. But in the case of the defense, we've made dramatic changes to it. Like, let's be frank, I think pretty much the whole back line has been redone and reshaped, bar Christian Romero. Christian Romero, even over the summer and kind of over the end of last season, felt like he was getting more of the slack and more of the blame for actually a lot of the failings of the defense last season than any other players. And he's the only one that's remained. And yet, look at our defense. It's one of the best in the league. It's keeping clean sheets. It's doing a very good job and, kind of desperate defending moments. And that was kind of actually, I think, the problem as well, is that we're sort of, needing both. And it felt like maybe we just, Dave, when you look at maybe a team like ours that needs to play out from the back, yes, you can have defenders that are good on the ball. Yet you could find anybody really that's good on the ball, can make the right passes, can be able to keep possession. But what they do need is like those sort of quick instinct moments as a defender to make the right decision and to either be aggressive or, drop back, to know what's behind them, to know what sort of striker is sort of maybe, leaning towards the back post, putting in a block that's a game-saving block, to keep it out. Those sort of things, like, we just couldn't do. Like, look at Eric Dyer when he had that one-on-one defending moment with Marcus Rashford last season. He just let Marcus Rashford take it 40 yards from his own goal, dribbling, and then just took it all the way up to Lloris and just finished it right in front of us. And we're not going to see that with Van de Ven. We're not going to see that with Christian Romero. We're not going to see that with Udogie. We're not going to see that with Pedro Porro. They're all going to, at some stage, at least try to make a tackle, or they are going to try to get stuck in. And Vicario as well now. I mean, let's be honest with him too. He is making crack saves to actually keep us in games, and we weren't seeing enough of that from Hugo. Hugo used to be regarded for a guy that would make some world-class saves, that would keep you in the game, that would kind of, have you sort of stay fighting and keep you within punching distance. And now with Vicario, we're usually holding on to leads, and he helps us hold on to leads. He helps us keep that distance away from the opponent, because he has pulled off, I would say, some saves that Hugo would definitely not have made last season. He has that sort of alertness to him, that sort of cat-like ability, and also in possession, he's actually shown to be probably one of the best keepers in the league. It's a guy that, you struggle to press because he knows what he's doing with it before he receives it. He's not getting it launched every time. He tries to actually play out from the back and play quickly. Vicario's been perfect, and that's all because we've just completely revitalized the whole back line. It's just been a complete makeover, Dave. It's like redoing your kitchen, and then all of a sudden you're a better cook.
No, 100%. And look, what I will say, it's the positions that I highlighted, and you as well, Jack, all last season, left back or left wing back, and that centre back position, and since we brought in Van de Ven on the left side, brought in Udogie on the left side, and then of course Vicario and goals. Look at the improvement. And this is what I was saying. The right-hand side was never, ever the issue. The issue was the left-hand side on the old guard that we never replaced, and I'm glad we've done it, because, look, I love a clean sheet. I can't lie, I absolutely love it. But what I love most is how much we enjoy keeping clean sheets. I remember saying with Dyer and Sanchez and that They don't have that desire or that passion or the want to sort of keep a clean sheet. They don't see keeping a clean sheet the same as scoring a goal. Whereas you look at like the reactions of Van de Ven, Romero, Porro, Adoji, Vicario, they're all fist pumping each other, celebrating it, high-fiving each other and everything else. And that's what I want to see, Like, okay, you don't have the most glamorous job in the game, but you can make it an art form and exciting to watch. And that's exactly what they're doing. You look at Romero and Van de Ven. It doesn't matter whether you want to put balls in behind or into the striker to hold up. They can do either. They can defend either or. And then we've got the fullbacks as well that can defend, but also play out from the back. So, it's just great to see. And then Vicario, I mean, honestly, what a goalkeeper. Some of the saves the guys pulled off, big saves and big moments. Man United, when the game was in the balance, still 0-0, pulled off crucial saves. Pulled off a crucial one at 0-0 against Fulham on Monday night from Paulinia's header. Pulled off, I think, one or two at the Arsenal game as well when the game was still in the balance. So this guy is pulling off massive saves for us, which is absolutely crucial. Hopefully we don't have to rely on him tonight, though. That would be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice.
To rely on
have him have a quiet Friday night. And I even love his sign-offs. He's been given some of the social media, sign-offs as well. And he was saying, we'll see you Friday night, for a good evening. So I've been liking Big Vic. He even has been pretty much asking Spurs fans, to put him into his fantasy team as well, Dave. He's saying, I'm getting you those points, put me in there. So he's even calling us out. I've absolutely loved him. But back to the original question and to the original point, a lot of our success this season cannot, be overlooked with this defense. The defense deserves a lot of credit for what we've been doing this season. The reason we're able to get, 3 points, the reason we're getting the wins is not just because of, the attacking, scintillating football. It is also because we actually have defenders we can rely upon to keep a lead, to keep a result, to not concede. And to make it, because even the gifts we would give teams last season when we would be in full control of the game, and we
remember Eric Dyer handed the ball
into
Mo Salah's path. Remember that?
We're not going to do that anymore.
I couldn't believe it.
It's going to take a really good goal in order to beat Spurs, and that's fine. I think we can accept that now. Whereas before, we were just giving goals up. We were just watching some of the simplest goals to go into the back of our net, and that's when you start realizing this is going to be a 60-goal plus season, of defending. And I don't know. I think we might end up, at the end of the season with maybe at least in top 4, top 3 best defenses in terms of goals conceded.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. And look, I think it is important, to highlight it because, like I said, it's not the most glamorous area and it doesn't get highlighted enough. But the same old goes. It's the same goes with Alex Ferguson. Goals wins your games, clean sheets wins your leagues. And hopefully Ange Postecoglou has realised that saying is true. Hotspur hippie, my man. Paul, I think it's at 6:30. No, 6:30 to 7:30, if I remember correctly, Paul. I think you're a bit ahead of yourself. I think maybe I'm wrong. And then big up Ribsy. You used to watch us defend and wonder why teams weren't scoring even more against. Being honest. I mean, it was just a joke. Like Jack said, it was like sometimes, it wasn't even down to good play. Like we're in possession and we just can't pass a ball. The ball's coming at us. It's a simple header away, and Eric Dyer would rather just cushion it down to Mo Salah. I mean, it was absolutely nightmare stuff. And I'm just glad that we don't have to watch that crap anymore and that we do have the right people in place.
It looks like they've already started over there, by the looks of things. Yeah, I'm not sure what time. I'm not sure, but it looks like they've already gotten started. They have the countdown underway. So Paul was just letting you know that, I guess.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to I'll follow over in a few minutes. Because it's gone half an hour early without the big dog knowing. But look, Jacko, maybe last question for us to maybe have a bit of a discussion around, and then we'll get our score predictions and go and get ready for the watch along. Of course, having restored ourselves to the righteous position of being top of the table Monday night, we have a massive opportunity to go 5 points clear tonight at the top. Now, no one had Tottenham challenging at the top of the table at this stage of the season. No one even gave Spurs the dark horse tag this season, not even me. And I'm deluded. And the Spurs have defied expectations, though, and surprised everyone. What is it that we don't hear? Why is it that we don't hear more from the general media or opposition fans about that maybe sort of conversation about us being in the title chase?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking for here, everyone, is just like a bit more recognition that at least give us a honeymoon period. It feels like Spurs haven't even, had any sort of period, where we've been allowed to just be praised and just sort of, realize like, wow, guys, like Spurs are a lot better than I actually expected them to be, fair play to them. How often do you heard that? Not very often. It feels like, in the general media. It felt like very quickly just sort of the conversation just all of a sudden moved to, no, Spurs are pretty lucky. They've gotten away with it. The squad depth really isn't there. Eventually it would all crumble. They haven't come across any real teams yet. It just felt like, there's not enough of, well, we didn't have Spurs at this, position, at this stage of the season. We certainly didn't think that Ange Postecoglou was going to adapt to the Premier League this quickly. A lot of us thought that, I think the effect of Harry Kane is still being felt, but we have done a very good job at trying to mask it in some regard to the best of our ability. And you also look at, a lot of the defenders that we brought in that have just sort of hit the ground running, in this team. It's just been, terrific. And I think a lot of people should just at least give us, I don't know, what's a honeymoon period, Dave? How long does it take? Praise maybe a week or so at least. And it just moved too quickly to the Spurs are getting away with it, type of conversations and everything like that. And I just feel like I can't really recall a time where I was really, looking across, sort of the Talk Sport or Sky Sports or whatever, big media outlets sort of kind of clips and everything of wow, Spurs are great, Spurs are great, Spurs are defying expectations, Spurs really showing us that they should be taken seriously. Haven't seen a lot of that. And even for the fact that we weren't even considered dark horses, I think makes it even more impressive, with how much we've defied expectations. If we were dark horses, then people would have said, yeah, I had them down as a sneaky one, for the season. No one even said that about us, and we're not getting any praise.
Do you know what? I sort of like it like this, because what they don't realize, Jack, is after tonight, we're 1/4 of a way already through the season. You look at it, season's 38 games, let's round it up to 40. Tonight will be 10 games. So you're already sort of 1/4 already through the season. So you're right. How long does the honeymoon period last for? I think many people are sort of looking at and maybe expecting Spurs to slip up tonight, Chelsea, some of the other games that we've got coming up. But equally, some of these other teams that we have coming up, the likes of Brighton and all that, they've got double the amount of games that we have to play with Europe and stuff like that. But no one wants to talk about that, No one, not. You think with all these pundits, right? You think one of them would sit back and look at it and go, well, Arsenal had no Europe last year, and they came out of nowhere to go and compete for the title. Why can't Tottenham do the same thing this season? But not one of them want to sit there and have that objective opinion. Then all of a sudden, straight away this season, Arsenal are title contenders. What? Based off them last season, okay, but you weren't expecting that last season. So how did they automatically just become title contenders this season? So then, if they're title contenders and we're also unbeaten and we're top of the league, why aren't we title contenders? This is what does not make sense to me. And I know some people go, but you don't win titles, this early on. You don't. But what you do is you put the foundations in place to go on and win that title this early on. That's what you do, and that's what we are doing. People talk about the strength in depth. Well, Leicester didn't have that great, strength in depth. But what they did have was a whole club together pushing in the one direction to try and, achieve the unthinkable. And sometimes that camaraderie, that willingness, that wanting to fight for each other, will get your players out on the pitch and give it their all for the cause. And that can bring you a hell of a long way, as long as everyone is pulling in that direction. And when I look at us to Leicester, I mean, after where we were last season, finishing, what was it, 8th outside of European spots, nobody would have predicted it this season. So why can't we have another sort of miracle of what Leicester done? I don't understand why we can't. We're playing the best football in the league, the most attractive, which is not being highlighted enough. We've improved our weaknesses, which none of the media are talking about. I don't understand why we're not even in that conversation. I think a massive part of it to do is they're not looking at this new era of Tottenham. They're looking at Tottenham's history gone by. That's what they're looking at, and the way we end up usually collapsing. But they're not looking at this new era of Tottenham, the new what's going on now. That we're coming out of that phase, and we're entering a phase where we are serious now.
Yeah,
and plus, we're underrepresented, and the pundits that we do have out there, like Darren Bent, would rather sit there and fucking, talk about Arsenal and praise them than, and have jibes at Tottenham. But look, this is what I say. Everyone hates Tottenham. I wear it as a badge of honor. I absolutely
That's what
do.
everybody's saying in the
And one
comments.
day we're going to upset the apple cart, Jack.
That's what everybody's saying in the comments. They're saying, guys, it's just how it is, as a Spurs fan, it's just what we kind of go through. And I totally understand that. And in fact, it's one of my favorite things about being a Spurs fan. I just expected, at least a week of a honeymoon, with the media, at least a week of good grace, with them. And I don't know if we've even gotten that. Feels like it's just, fast forwarded to those sort of conversations of, whether Spurs are legit or not. And it's, I don't know. It's just wanted, a nice good grace period at least.
Or now that we've spoke about it, being the main talking point in Sky Sports now this weekend, probably, Jack. But, you watch. They'll do the Arsenal game and they'll speak about them being title contenders. They'll do the Liverpool game, same thing. And then they talk about the Manchester Derby. They talk about City being title contenders. But, we're above them all. Work that one out. But, look, I think we will go with score predictions now when we'll look to end off. And we will be back here at 7:30. With the watch along, it's where me and Jack thrive most, especially when we're winning. It is good vibes. So make sure you hit the notification bell on the watch along stream so it alerts you as soon as we go live and we can all be ready to go together. Jack, what's your score prediction today, man?
I'm kind of with Johnny Maddox. I'm feeling a 3-0. I could see it being close, though. I mean, trust me, I could absolutely see it being close. There's just a hope that we do go into this game with a bit more of a clinical edge, a bit more of kind of a ruthlessness about us. And if we do, I think we could get an early goal. We could, from there sort of force Palace eventually to sort of get out of their shape. If we're successful in doing that, if we force them to have to sort of break that sort of defensive shape, then the game will start to become a bit more open. Once the game's a bit more open, grab those 2 extra goals and we make it a 3-0. And just quickly, everyone, I've been thinking about starting to get into a bit of sort of the bets and the gambling, for some of the games and, for through some of those apps and everything. I have no idea what I'm doing. I feel like an old man, they're just all too confusing to me, all these overs and unders. So I do need a crash course from somebody, or just give me some sort of bets that, are interesting to you, that you guys have seen that look like good odds. Cause that's what I can't tell. What's a good odd? And what's, worth putting your money in. So we'd appreciate maybe some help on that over the watch along.
First of all, Jack, put yourself on a limit every week. So I do €4.
Yeah, it's not my thing.
I do €4 on the weekend. I do two €2 accumulators.
That's what I want to do.
A certain amount of teams, that I think are going to win. But you know what? I think you might be good at it because
that's my style. That's what I want to do. What you're doing, €4, €2, something like that. But you're just like, but what do you want to spend that €4 on? Then it's like 1,000 choices, and then I get two. It's too much. It's too much.
Do you know what, Jack? I just do the accumulators. I just look at teams and I predict them to straight out win, and I do probably 6 or 7 to try and make it worth it. But no, they're good fun. They are good fun.
Thank you, Nigel.
Become a new YouTube member. What tier is it going for, Jack?
Nigel A. Smith, you've gone for a Flat Cap membership. Thank you, sir. There's still so much you can get from the Flat Cap membership. I think it's been improved dramatically. You get, access to all of the member videos. You get to watch every single one of them. You also, as well, can participate in our fantasy league. And if you have been doing quite well in fantasy this year, you could just join us, get right over to the top, and then you'd be sitting right nice and comfortable, add some competition for the rest of us. And there's plenty of other good stuff that I am forgetting. But believe me, for the $1.99, I think it's well worth the money. I really do appreciate it, Nigel. And like Dave has said earlier, it's just a great way to sort of help support the channel in an extra way, because it does, put a lot of sort of extra, there's a lot of work behind the scenes that maybe you guys aren't actually able to always see or witness. So it does help us out a lot.
And we're adding to it of late. We're trying to maybe put up some opinion pieces as well for you guys to have your say and stuff like that. So big up, Nigel, my man. Great to have you on board. Please get involved in everything that we do in the community section. There's a lot of extra stuff there outside of what you already see us do live and the videos that we put up for absolutely everyone. So big up, Nigel. Great to have you. And he's leading the way. There's still time, if anyone's thinking about it, still time to follow Nigel. Follow the leader is what I would say. But look, on my score prediction, Jack, first of all, I need a clean sheet for fantasy football. So I've got Vicario on my goals. So I need a clean sheet tonight. And I need a couple of goals. I need Son and Madison to score. So do you know what? I'm going to go 4-0. I'm going to go 4-0. I'm going to go with Dermot. I feel
like we broke our pre-match thoughts. We've just, that's what happens, Dave. We just, we get so confident. Sorry, interrupted that.
Yeah. No, I don't know why. I do think it's going to be nervy. Look, my 4-0 all depends on whether we score early or not. And I just think with the rollicking that Ange Postecoglou gave them after the Fulham game, and speaking about the fluidity maybe of the front three, whatever front three go out there tonight, they have to be at their clinical best. And Do you know what? I wouldn't put it beyond the realms of possibility, especially with a lot of their players out injured. So we are going to go with 4-0. But guys, I want to say a big up Erwin sneaking in there. We're just ending off, Erwin. We're just ending off, my man. But look, we will be back here at 7:30 for the watch along. Hopefully all you guys can come back and join us. Go and have some dinner. Wash it down with a nice beer. Let's get ready to, go eagle hunting. And like I said, there's only room for one big bird in London, and that is the crow and cockerel. Let's go to Selhurst Park, mop them up. Let's get the 3 points, walk out of there with that drum as well. Absolutely love it. As always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Oh, no, sorry. I have a song to play for you all before we end off. My bad. Song.
End us
Here
off
we
that
go.
way.
Same as last week. It worked for us last week, so we'll do it again this week. Let's go.
He's with me, he's Sonny, part of our family. In your head, Son is flying, leading us with his pace and that smile on his face. At the lane, we're all crying. He's in my head, Sonny, Sonny.
Now, there you are, guys. The great Tim Wingstone from Spurs Song Sheets. What an absolute belter. If you don't know, this guy absolutely pumps out Spurs songs. We've had all the old Chaz and Dave, which is absolutely fantastic. But we are in a new generation, a new era, and we needed updated songs. And your boy Tim is providing it. Hopefully you enjoy it. We should have, a song at the end of every sort of pre-match show. I've sort of discussed that with Tim, so that'll be absolutely awesome. But guys, we're going to leave it there. See you back here at 7:30 tonight. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on,
in
you
the big
Spurs.
hands we trust. We never stop.
See you, everybody.
See y'all.
Everywhere we go.